everyone, I'm Steph,
And I'm Megan.
and welcome to another episode of Late Night Reads.
This week we are diving into the magical world of romantasy, covering The Never List by Jade Presley. Oh
And
my
let's start with why we selected it because we are already fanning ourselves.
God. So spicy, so good. Oh my God.
It is crazy. And I think let's start with the world building. It's absolutely incredible, especially the level of detail. I felt like I was walking along these four cities that Riley gets to visit. And that is one of the things I love about a great book, where it like transports you to a magical place and you get to escape reality for a few hours. And then every character in the book is uniquely different. So it's really fascinating to kind of figure out who they are and what motivates them throughout the book. And then we love a good book boyfriend so much. But what's better than one book boyfriend? Four. Four is way better, right? Way better.
Never thought I'd say that, but yes.
Same. And it's like basically impossible not to fall in love with each one of them because they're completely different personalities. So it feels like this four distinct relationships that also like somehow work in harmony together.
Yeah, it works. They make it work.
They do make it work. And then there's incredible spice. Like I can't even begin to describe like jaw-dropping spice in this book. But my favorite part is while the spice is incredibly hot, it also feels like super authentic to the characters and where they're at in their relationship with Riley when it happens. So sometimes I feel like spicy scenes are fun to read, but they don't always feel like they fit the story as much. And this feels very intentional. It is by far one of my top three reads of the entire year. Hands down.
Hands down.
So,
Hands down, yes. Or hands tied up.
oh, or
Or
both.
or both. Or just like, all areas.
All the things, right?
I've literally recommended this book to everybody.
Same. Because it's like
Yeah.
incredibly well written. Like after you read it, you want more. Like I want to know what's next. It like lives rent free in my head already. And then
Yeah.
I love that there's so many questions and answers at the end. So I'm constantly like trying to figure out, even days after reading it, like I'm like, oh, what about, oh, could this be happening? Like, what about this? And I feel like I'm probably going to be that way until we get book two.
I know. I know. Never have I ever been so obsessed with a book than The Never List. I'm just like, I never want it to end, honestly.
Same.
But seriously, if you love a good book that like has like sexy, spicy scenes, but like has good character development throughout it and like a good storyline, this is the book for you. Plus, like, there's like a little bit of kind of like battle-esque stuff, like very minimal and like no gore, which I know for some people when they read like Fourth Wing and things like that, they're like, it's too much gore, it's too much blood. Like, I can't handle that. I want less of that. It's like, this is the book for you. 'Cause it's got all those other fun aspects. So, here are a few things that you should know about our lovely author, Jade Presley. So she actually uses a pen name to write her romantasy books, which is another reason why we kind of love the why choose tropes. So we'll get into that a little bit. Her other romantasy books include the Shattered Isle series, consisting of 4 books and 1 novella as well. She's an avid Marvel fan and a board game fanatic, so want to have her over for game night sometime. And she's happily married with 2 kids and an Irish wolfhound. I love
Mm.
dogs, so
We're big dog friends in this world.
big dog friends, yes.
But before jumping into discussing this book, a couple of key reminders. This episode will contain spoilers. We assume if you're listening, you've read the book, you've been warned. We are also going to talk in detail about the spicy scenes in the Never List. If you've read the book, you know what we're talking about.
Yeah, not safe for
Yeah.
work. Make sure this is not playing during work time.
Correct. You may need
Or
a
in public in Target, where I was during some of these scenes, and I was like, "Oh my God, oh my God, why am I in public right now? This is bad. Oh my God, but good."
right?
Yeah.
And this book does contain some topics that may be sensitive for some readers. There is some bullying in it, death, emotional abuse, physical abuse, sexual assault, sexual harassment, torture, and violence.
But let's talk some tropes now. First of all, we have royalty. So, one of the main storylines in this book is finding a mate for the four princes or legends. So, that basically, obviously, that royalty trope is obvious, but basically, one girl, four guys. Oh my God.
Yes.
Now, why choose? That's another fun trope here. Princes like to share, which means Riley doesn't get one man, she gets all four of them. And all four of them get just the one her. And they have no problem sharing. They're very gentlemanly in that way. Next, we have different worlds. So the princes actually live a life of luxury in their own different worlds. Each one of them has like their own city. And Riley herself is an Ashlander, which is like the lowest level citizen, and she's in a completely separate area from them. But in her world, she struggles to have enough food to eat. She's always fighting for her life. And even though they live in the same kingdom, her life is very different from what the princes experience. Next, we have secrets. Everyone in this book is keeping a secret. And Riley's obviously the biggest one because she has two big secrets early on that she's struggling to keep from them and doesn't want to tell them, and like slowly does have to reveal herself. Next, we have enemies to lovers. When Riley is first selected as the potential mate, she almost sees herself as an enemy to the princess, giving her that her status as an Ashlander and a demi. So those are her two big secrets. And it's kind of like she's the forbidden one. She's not supposed to be there. All the demis are like enemies to the legends. And while they don't ever really see her this way, she does go on a journey of seeing them as enemies who are just playing a game to allow herself to truly know them and fall in love with them. Next, we have forced proximity. And since Riley was first selected by Jax, she is forced to live with the princes for a minimum of 1 month before she can even consider leaving them, which creates a forced proximity situation. And each month she spends time with each guy. So basically like 4 months total, one with each prince, and she has to be with them the entire time. But she also, again, they share. So it's not always just one-on-one.
Right. And then we also have this found family situation. So we learn early on that her parents are gone, her sister disappeared. So she's really kind of been on her own now, except for her two friends that she can kind of be around. So as she develops relationships with the princes, she starts to fall in love with them. She also finds kind of like this family aspect with the four of them and with Mirren, who is kind of like their surrogate mother, and starts to play that role to her as well. And then obviously the princes are looking for mates, and she is pretty clear their fated mate from the very beginning. Her first interactions with Jax, even before she knows who he is, there's this immediate deep connection between the two of them, and she feels that with every single one of the princes.
It's very Cinderella-esque, at least in that part, you know.
It's like they locked eyes. It reminds me of, completely unrelated, but Hotel Transylvania when they zing.
Yes.
That's what like I thought of in that moment. Like it's just you across the room, you like know it's that person.
Mm-hmm.
So for every magical twist, there is so much that happens in this book that is, we believe, so important to talk about. So we're going to try and do it justice.
Yeah.
So buckle up. We're going to deep dive into the book. Buckle up. So when we first meet our FMC, Riley, it's on the night of the choosing ceremony, and she's walking around one of the kind of cities and areas in town, which is the Leaf and Claw, and she's not supposed to be there because, as Megan said, she's this Ashlander, which is the lowest class, which means she's restricted on what she can wear, where she can go, and she's breaking both of those rules. So number one, we already love her because she's a rule breaker, right? So love that already. But she runs into this guy named Turner, who is one of the king's enforcers, and he has very evidently a history with Riley, where he lets her skirt the rules in exchange for what I would define as sexual favors, it sounds like. And so...
sexual favors on his end, sexual assault on her end.
Correct.
Yeah.
I don't think she's like a willing participant as much as we would want her to be in a situation like that.
Like she was in the beginning. She thought he loved her, and then he just ended up being a douche.
He wasn't. Yes. So basically the only way he agrees to let her go when he finds her is if she meets him at midnight for some additional sexual favors and assault on his end. But she has no intention of meeting him because she's planning to sneak into this choosing ceremony, which is this party held every year for the Legends of Chaos, which they're referred to, the four princes, to help them find a potential mate. So they've been doing this numerous times and have not been successful. And yes, it's one mate because, as we mentioned, they all share her. So, and in order to get a pen to participate in the choosing, you have to, in quotes on the invitation, give enthusiastic consent to intimate acts with one or all four of the Legends of Chaos. And that's where my eyes went up. And I was like, okay. Okay. We knew what was why choose, but one or all four and enthusiastic consent. Okay.
And you may be asking yourself, why? Why is this? And the reason being is that basically their mothers, it's a tribute for their moms, which just sounds weird. But basically it's like someone has to choose us and act as our tether to Lumithist, someone who would balance us and bind us together. And collectively, if we're together, magically weaving our locks into our souls that can only be opened by one mate and one mate only. So they have to have this one mate to basically unlock the rest of their powers that they have. So it's like for the good of the realm, you know, to have these princes be super strong, to keep their wards up, to keep war out. And it's like, oh, okay, so this one girl has to have sex with four guys to keep the wards up. Sign me up.
Sign it, right? Like, hello. So only problem, she's an Ashlander, so like she's definitely not what they're looking for. But
she's not supposed to be there.
And she's not supposed to be there. She's not even supposed to wear anything besides like brown clothing, right? So a royal event is not on her normal to-do list. But her best friends, Ivy and Lacey, have really gone above and beyond. So they've created a fake invitation based on the real ones that they have. They've ensured she has a beautiful black gown, which is important because no one else to any past choosing ceremonies that Ivy and Lacey have been to has ever worn black, but they thought it really fitted her personality. And they take care of her hair and makeup, and they make sure she looks like she should be there. And then she has a demi mask.
The mask, right? Butterflies. Oh, I love this.
Which will become important later.
Yes.
But all the demis who have these powers that they have to keep secret have a mark on them somewhere, and hers is on the back of her neck. So they make sure to cover it up with makeup so no one will see it. And the reason why that's important is because of history of what's happened. Everyone with demi powers in the past were put on the never list to ensure no one from that lineage could ever rise to a high status again. And so over time, most of these demi powers have completely dwindled, or they like randomly appear in like one generation, but not the other. So Riley has like two problems. She's an Ashlander and she's also a demi, which is two things like going against her in this world.
Yeah. It's going to be difficult for her.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about the choosing. So basically no potential mate. They've had 4 already. And no potential mate has made it longer than a month before. So the minimum amount of time that they have to spend with the Legends of Chaos to get a higher social status is just 1 month. So if they get chosen, they just have to stick it out for 1 month. And then if they decide no, then they can still like basically get a bunch of money and be fine in their life for the rest of their life. So it's an incentive for ladies to sign up basically and come and try it out. But this also happens to be the event where Riley's sister disappeared last year after she herself snuck into it. So her sister Erin sneaks into the choosing and is never heard from again. So Riley is basically sneaking in here because she wants to find out what happened to her sister. She's like, I'm just going to search all the documents as I can, like, and just try and find her or any answers I can. So unlike everybody else that's attending the event, she does not give a shit about being selected as a potential mate. She's very much like, I just want to find my sister and then get out. Like I have no interest in the princes. And she needs to find out if her sister ever got put on the never list. First, we're going to meet Legend of Chaos Jax. He is giving us major bad boy shadow daddy vibes right away. So I already know I'm going to love him.
Same.
He's dressed in all black, like that's his colors, black. And he's just kind of like blue, black, dark hair, like indigo eyes, just very like almost ricin feeling, and you're like,
yes,
okay, yes, please. And his dad is the King Baydel, who is #1 asshole in our book. And he doesn't care about Jax at all. He just cares about power. He even points out that Jax and the other princes have failed for the past 6 years to find a mate, and they need to be taking it more seriously. So he says, like, Jax, you need to pick somebody. Like, this is your turn to pick. And he mentions how it's even more important now, given that the threats against Lumethyst is even like higher than it's ever been. So it feels like there's more going on that Badal is not revealing to Jax, and the king definitely has some secrets up his sleeve. So again, why is finding a mate so important? Their mothers, who are the four goddesses, which by the way, these guys are not brothers, they're just friends. It's like all of their moms are goddesses, these moms are friends, they met their mates, the kings, had these kids. But they basically had to go to sleep decades ago to protect Lumethyst and keep their wards safe. And every single year, a drop of power from the princes has to go to their mothers, like statues, their, uh, uh, what do you call it? Tomb,
Temples?
tomb. Temple, yeah. So every year they have to do that to kind of reinforce everything. And then their mothers created the choosing to help them find their mate. That'd be shared by all four of them to unlock their power. And Jax's turn to pick. So we know about Jax already, and he's like our black shadow daddy. Love him. Other three princes, or legends, are Cal, Axel, and Pierce. And they all have completely different personalities, but they're best friends. So Cal is the dreamer. He gives you major, like, boy next door, golden boy vibes, always calm and confident. His city is the Ruby Air, and his power is related to flying. And his color is red that he identifies with. And what's also really cool about Cal is his mother was the goddess Nev, who actually blessed, in a way, Riley. So her kind of demi power comes from that goddess. So they're kind of connected in that way already. So Cal is red. Axel is the player. And you initially meet him and you think he's a womanizer in terms of like player-ish, but it's really just he's like a playful guy. And he likes to play games, make wagers, make bets. His city is the Sapphire Cove, so his color is blue, and all of his power is related to water. So he can kind of manipulate water and all of its elements. Next we have Pierce, and he is called the Mind. And he's definitely more on guard when it comes to Riley compared to Cal or Axel. His city is the Emerald Woods, so his color is green, and his power allows him to read minds and kind of manipulate minds. And so he's really just kind of more of like harder to get into, if you will. And then, of course, last but not least is Jax, and he's known as the Nightmare. And he is the quintessential bad boy. His city is the Obsidian City, and he has the power to read and control emotions. And his color is black, which I find it very interesting that his color is black. And of course, the only person to ever show up to the choosing is wearing black, and it's Riley. Yeah, first time ever. So, like, naturally, I feel like that color catches his eye. He's like, "You're wearing my color." Like,
exactly. Well, and what's interesting is, it's his turn to pick because they kind of like rotate who gets to pick every year. And he tries to pawn it off on Axel because he is like, I don't really care who it is, because none of the mates they've had before have ever been strong enough to handle one of them. And none of them have ever tried to get close to him. I mean, he's called the Nightmare. He isn't the most welcoming man, you could say. So he almost feels like it's impossible to find someone who's going to be able to really get to know, like, any of them, let alone all four of them. Whereas like Cal and Axel, just like in their nature, they believe like it's still possible, right? Cal's the dreamer. He's like, we're going to find her. She's out there. And Pierce and Jax are like, I mean, maybe. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see. So you have to wonder with Jax, though, like at his reluctance, is that like a coping mechanism because of what he's been through in the past and how he's been treated by his father? Because just in the first interactions with him and his dad, he's a horrible person and he treats his son like shit. So while Riley, Ivy, and Lacey have zero desire to be the potential mate, right? They all agree to take one of these little pens and participate because they can actually make a decent amount of money selling the pens. Or at least that's what Ivy and Lacey have been doing the times that they've went. So Riley takes the pen. She gets lucky number 13. And after, they announce the kings and the princes, Riley sees someone watching her and thinks he may have heard her say some unsavory but like accurate comments about the kings. Riley cannot keep her mouth shut. She has to say what's on her mind, which is another reason we love her.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she's making unsavory comments that would probably get her thrown in the dungeon. And she feels like this guy like kind of laughs or comments about it. And then she starts to feel this like pull towards him. And then it happens again when she makes another comment and the same man responds, "That mouth likely gets you into trouble." And yes, it does, in more ways than one. Good trouble and bad trouble. Mm-hmm.
All about that trouble, though.
All about the trouble. That's what they should have probably called her. Because does she get into it? But there's this like really great banter between the two of them. And it's kind of like, while you don't know that that's Jax and one of the princes, because they've been introduced as other guys, it becomes really clear that it has to be him.
Yeah.
So then we see Riley go snooping because she's there on a mission. She's trying to find something about her sister. She goes to the palace libraries because apparently that's where they keep this never list. And so she's looking for information about her parents. She finds them. They're supposedly on some sort of mission in Earthmore, but their names aren't crossed out. So that should mean they're still alive. But her sister's name isn't anywhere on the list. So the whole reason she came was to see if her sister was on the list and where she might be. She doesn't get that information. So she has no idea what happened. No answers. So like this is kind of like a pointless excursion at this point in her mind. Well, then the same guy shows up that she spoke with before and continues the banter. And the banter heats up. Very much so. Because he starts talking about making her scream. Right? Like he likes to make women scream in certain ways, and she immediately feels like a lot of heat like come over her body.
She's suddenly like, oh damn.
When I read it.
Yeah. Right? She's like, oh damn. Like okay.
Okay.
But she's like also super flirty back and like gives him a little bit of taste of his own medicine. You're like,
exactly.
That's the intrigue for him. He's like, oh my.
Right? And she like doesn't care. Like she doesn't make excuses about why she's in there. She's not asking him to hide anything for her. She's just like, he's giving her shit. She's giving it back. So then he asks her to dance. And there's even more chemistry. But then it's time for this announcement of the potential mate. It's getting close to midnight. And it turns out the legends have been masquerading quietly throughout the entire evening. The 4 people that everyone thought they was not them. They've been kind of hidden throughout. Imposters, right? So it's funny because you watch, these other women who are fawning over these 4 guys that are not
They're not the princes.
At all.
Yeah.
At all. And then Riley's number gets called out as their potential mate. And she's freaking the fuck out because multiple reasons. She lied to get in there. She doesn't have a real invitation. She's an Ashlander. She's a Demi. And she's assuming like these are going to be problems for the legends given kind of their fathers run the kingdom. And those are 2 things that are basically horrible. And her best friends are also worried for her, but give great advice. I mean, like your only choice is to make them fall in love with you. Because if you do, then no one can touch you again. And I'm like, yes. But also,
this wasn't supposed to happen. Yeah,
right. Like you guys said, I would
plan.
Correct. I would get some money for this, and now I have to go live with someone for a month who might kill me because of who I am.
Yeah. Big risk.
Big
risk.
But big reward. I feel like her friends were like, "It'll be fine."
Yeah.
Like it'll be okay. It'll be fine. Because you can't do anything. You've signed what becomes like almost like a legal binding contract by accepting a pen. So she can't get out of it at this point.
Yeah. And then Riley is then taken by an enforcer to go up and meet the kings. And this is like her first interaction really with them. So she has to bow to them. And let's just say they don't seem very welcoming. But her experience meeting the legends is slightly different because Cal already stands up to the enforcer for putting his hands on her. And he's like, you be careful. Like that's potentially my mate. So he's already showing like protective instincts over her. And she's like, oh, okay. All right. But she's also feeling super overwhelmed. And there's like this crazy like wave of overwhelmingness, like threatening to steal her breath when she looks at all four of them. And she realizes then that she danced with the one they called the Nightmare. And she's like, oh my God, that's the same guy. I flirted with him. I was turned on by him. I kind of wanted him, and I still do. Whoa. And it turns out Jax felt that same connection too. He's like, she's different than everyone else. She didn't tremble in his presence. She was the only potential he's ever danced with and interacted with, and he already feels like he knows her. But he immediately, like, once she gets chosen, she like gives off this vibe of like lying, and he can tell when people are lying. And so he's like, I'm like, I don't know if I trust her. So he doesn't want to like take her home first. And he has a rule that he never sleeps with the potential because the one time he came even close to doing it, it just didn't end well for him because his powers are too much. But he does definitely like lust after Riley and thinks about her all the time and thinking about sleeping with her. And we can't wait for that to happen. We're like, yes, like you guys are like the ultimate slow burn here. But it's nice because we don't have to wait for Spice to happen. Because, I mean, they all agree to let her choose which one of them she gets to be with first, which is nice. They're like, we're putting this in your hands, and she's shocked by that. She's like, I get to choose? Like, I never get to choose. Like, her past relationship with Turner was always him choosing everything. So she's like, I don't know. But in the end, like, she also has to choose all of them. So it's kind of like the first test of like, which one of us do you choose? And eventually you have to choose all four. So before that even happens, though, she gets her first test. And it involves all four of the kings. So all the princes escort her to a private room, like, immediately. And all the kings come in to see her privately. And it's really uncomfortable because they're clearly trying to, like, trick her into sleeping with them. And she has to lie about where she's from immediately. And she does this because, like, they can't know the truth about her. And it doesn't help that King Baydel is seriously trying to, like, make her feel super uncomfortable by like touching her and like trying to like say like you could have me and stuff. And he also hits her with like a line of questioning that she's like what, huh? And again, it's clear he's trying to take advantage of her, touch her, but also according to him, it's their right to experience her first to make sure she's a fit for their sons. Creeper, major creeper status. But Riley doesn't stand for it, and she's like, no, like, you will not be experiencing me at all. And she just stands up to him, and he's not used to that. So it does not go over well. He's going to hold a grudge. And then she tells them that she belongs to their sons, and they'll be the only ones laying claim to me. And you're like, yeah, girl.
Oh, damn. Right.
Yes. Yes, please. But Baydel keeps pushing, and she responds that the legends will kill him. And one of the other kings, Julian, then intervenes, and he's like, hey, Baydel, like, back off, buddy, because, like, she's passed the test already. Like, we're done. Like, we can move on. But it seems that the previous potentials all got along with the king and did what they want. So it's like, ew.
Ew?
Ew. Like,
well, and, like, the princes know that that's what happens. Like, they know, like, this is, like, a requirement. So I'm just, like, they're kind of counting down the minutes to it. So I hate it
like,
because...
can we go in there and, like, stop this? Like...
Right?
Yeah.
So after she passed the test.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess she passed the test for the princes. I think she failed the test for Baydel.
Yeah. He's like, damn it. I was hoping
right?
to get some. And it's like, no.
And I think he might have tried to forcibly do it, honestly, if she wouldn't have stood up so much and if, like, Julian wouldn't have stepped in. I get that vibe from him.
Yeah. He's very Turner vibe. Like,
very
I have
much
power
so.
and I'll take what I want.
Whatever I want. So when the legends come back, once again, like, we have this moment where, like, her breath is taken away when she sees them without their masks because they're not like what she imagined. All of these rumors we've heard about them are that they're basically like these mean people that have no problem killing others, but they want to make sure she's okay. Like, they're worried about what happened with her after her encounter with the kings. And then they're shocked to learn because they're assuming like something happened. And she was like, no, I turned them down. And like, I told them that you guys would kill them if they touched me. And
I mean, based on how Cal reacted when the like enforcer touched her, she's like, No.
No, like you guys would all kill them. So I told them that. And they're all like, we would have. Yes.
Yes, we would
But
have.
so I think it's this moment where they see she's different too.
Mhm.
And the only person that doesn't seem to be excited in the room is Jax, which is odd because like he selected her, right? He felt this connection. But it goes back to what Megan said earlier. He also feels this like buzzing sensation because he knows she's lying about something. And what's hard is this like distance he keeps putting between them immediately starts to upset her. And she can't explain why, but she like it hurts her that he doesn't feel like want to be near her. So then she gets to learn that she gets to choose. So, gotta love, you can have all four, but you also get to choose which one. And so she kind of like looks at all
Lady's
four of
choice.
them. Lady's choice. And she also realizes they tell her she gets to choose a lot of things in this arrangement. So, which I think is very unexpected for her. So while like I would say like sexually is like attracted to Jax the most. Like there's this incredible pull. She knows like he's the most dangerous. So she ultimately picks Cal to start with, which is kind of like the perfect choice because like he's the dreamer, he's the nice guy. She also feels like some, I think, security because her powers are tied to like his mom. So that night, she assumes that like they're going to be sharing a bed together because and then like she basically starts to have sex with one or all four of them based on like the invitation, and they're like, no, that's not how this works. Like you always get to choose.
Yeah.
Like you get
And
to
you can
choose
say
who
no.
and when, and you can say no, and which is very different than what she expected. But what's funny about it is like she has that fear, but like she's also super turned on, I think, by the idea of like being with all of them. So
She
it's
did.
kind
Like
of
immediately she was like, could I handle all four of them? Like, I don't know. Maybe that's kind of exciting. And you're like, oh, damn.
right.
Oh, this might happen.
This might happen. What?
Oh,
And you're early in the book, so you're like, "Ooh, what's going to happen?" But not tonight. Not tonight. Instead, Cal gives her like this like utter perfection kiss that to read it. It was perfect, perfectly written. And then like
Mhm.
she's just like left wanting more.
Yeah.
And then he's
Yeah.
like, "Good night. I will see you in the morning." And I'm just like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah. She's like, I'm expected to get ravaged right now by like one or all four of you. And like, I get to go to sleep in a very comfortable bed, not in a dungeon.
Very, you
What?
asked me if you could kiss me, and then you kiss me to perfection. Oh my God, what's happening?
What is this?
It's not what you expect. But then the
Oh.
next morning, Riley wakes up and she's met by Mirren, who has been assigned by the princess to kind of help her get ready and travel with her as she goes to the various cities. And so I thought she reminded me of Dr. Bailey from Grey's Anatomy
Oh, I can see
because
that.
she's like super tough on the outside and like you don't want to fuck with her, but the same tone, like the same like flip of the coin, she's super loyal and she would like cut a person for like hurting someone she loves. So that's like immediately what I thought of when they described her. So, and Riley is like, I don't need help to get dressed, which I would be the
Yeah.
same way. Like, I can dress myself.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean that you're gonna help me get ready? And she goes, but you can answer some questions for me. And which is kind of surprising because Mirren's not used to like the other potentials even talking to her. She goes, so I have some questions about like what were the other potentials like? Do the princes have like an appearance that they like? What are the different tests that the previous potentials encountered? These oculi, that creepy guys that follow them around in public. Mirren tells her about those. She tells them that, there are tokens that each of the princes will give at the end of their month with them if they want to continue on with her. But no potential has ever received a single token. And then she goes to the Athenary, which is like the kind of the end. So assuming she makes it through all 4 months, at winter solstice, she goes to the Athenary where she submits herself to the goddesses to become immortal, assuming she's chosen the princess. And Mirren Lake's like, I don't know much about that because it's never happened.
Yeah. Yeah. Numbers
So
made it that far. We don't
no
know.
one's made it that far. No one's made it past a month.
Yeah.
No one's gotten a
Yeah.
token. Can't help you more
Yeah.
than that.
Yeah.
But she does share that while like I think there's lots of stories and rumors, like do the princes really want this to work or fail? She's like, no, they really do want to mate. They need one. They need the right one. And it's not easy to live with all of them because they're so different. And she said, most importantly, the princes need someone who's not only intelligent, but strong, brave, and passionate, someone who isn't afraid to check them if they get out of line. That takes more than love. It takes courage and a level of understanding between mates that I've never seen in my long life, is what Mirren tells her. And it's just very clear that like they are looking for someone very specific. And you don't know much about Riley at this point, but what you do know, she clearly fits all of those. Like she checks all the boxes.
Yeah. Like based on her upbringing, like she's had to be all these things. And it's like, no wonder none of the other potential mates ever worked out because they were all like bred to just try and be royals and like try and just kind of like please and like last 1 month so they can like up their standing in life. So it's like she's very different from all the rest of them straight from the get-go. But it's clear like she is what they need. And she refuses, also a fun thing. So, like we said, all of the guys have their own colors that represent them. And normally, like when you're with them, you would probably wear that color to like show solidarity. But she's stubborn and she's like, I am not going to wear your color. I'm going to wear whatever color I want to prove a point. And this stubborn streak literally goes along with her ability to always speak her mind, which is one of the many reasons the princes fall in love with her throughout the book. And Cal gets to be the first one to experience this. So from the first moment she meets Cal, Riley felt an immediate sense of calm about him, and that's exactly how she feels when they travel to his city, the Ruby Air. Not to mention that he's barely touching her and she's already melting. I mean, it's evident that she's meant to be their mate, and it's entertaining to watch her try to fight off these feelings and pretend it's just a game. Like she's like, I just need to make them fall for me so I can survive. But in reality, she's actually falling for them. And so even though Cal makes her feel calm, the presence of the oculi are enough to make anyone freaked out. Like they have these big eyes that never blink and they're just there. And it's just like creepy. And they're recording everything and telling the kings everything that happens with her and the prince. But Cal reassures her that the oculi won't touch her or they'll die. Like he's like, they touch you, I will kill them. Because her safety and her comfort and well-being are of utmost importance to him and the rest of the princes. And that also becomes clear when the princes are just not who everyone thinks that they are. They're really good men deep down. And like, no matter what persona they have to play in public or what rumors exist about them, like it's not true. And this is her chance to find out what they really are like. So it's impossible not to fall in love with Cal when he takes Riley to lunch at his favorite little cafe. And he's clearly loved by all of his people in his city. And honestly, the city kind of reminds me of Valaris, like City of Starlight. You're just like, there's a little like art shop, there's little cafes. It's so cute. And it's just like, she can see like nobody's scared of him. Like they all love him and he loves all of his people. And he tells her how the legends of chaos really earned their name. It's from one time destroying a room and teacups when they were children, which is not the origin of the story that you've expected given their reputations. Like it was literally like they were being silly little kids and someone was like, you guys are just little legends of chaos, and it stuck. But it's like they were children back then. Like it's
exactly,
they don't do that stuff now. Like when they do stuff, it's for a reason. But what really heats up here is Riley accidentally spills hot coffee on Cal's finger and she's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, let me help you. And she puts it in her mouth.
And I was like, it has been 24 hours, Riley.
Girl.
Right?
Keep it in your pants. But also don't. Like,
right?
But like, it was just kind of crazy. Like, that's her first instinct. Like, oh my God, you burnt your finger. Let me help you.
Let me suck on it
like,
some. In public.
God damn. Shit.
Right?
Shit, it's getting real.
But sure, Riley, pretend this is just a game and you feel nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah, okay, sure. But let's just say things were tense and they get a little kiss going on there and it was amazing. He then is like, I can't stand this. And he like takes her to the bathroom where things get really hot and heavy very quickly. They're very desperate for each other and it's super hot and he like goes down on her and it's just like amazing. We will get to that spicy scene. There's so much spice. Oh my God. And it's just getting started.
It's
Whew.
just getting started. Well, and I love like she obviously, right? Like from the invitation, they're very like sexual creatures, but she like gives it back because like I one of the things that like seemed to really like spark Cow is when she said like you left me wanting more last night. Like I'm tense from last night's kiss. Like you did not fulfill what I expected. And
Yeah.
he's just like, we are going to the bathroom now.
He's like, let me
And
let me
like
do that
doesn't
for you.
let me take care of that for you. And like
You're
doesn't
like,
lock the door. And I'm just like,
it's like, who cares if somebody walks in? I don't care. I'm
I
gonna
don't
take care of
care.
this right now.
Like
You're like, okay.
I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I will take care of you. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Okay.
Oh, yes, please.
So after that,
Oh,
later
yeah.
that
After
day,
we've come down from that one.
right? They meet up with the other princess. And this pull Riley has to them is like super strong, especially Jax. And at this point, like I don't think we're 24 hours, right? Because the choosing happened that night. It's not even the next night yet. And she
Yeah.
also sees like this good-heartedness in Cal, right? Like as they walk through the city. And I know you imagine Valaris. I thought of Paris a lot. Um, and so like there's not just the sexual attraction, she's also like starting to see like that they're just really good. And so she's sitting next to the four of them and she is like already fantasizing about what it would be like to be with the four of them all at the same time. And I'm just like, sure, this is not a game, Riley. This is not a game that you think it is. But their evening is interrupted when an enforcer comes in and tells the princess that it happened again. Five people were hurt. So they take off and they kind of leave Riley with Mirren and say, take her back to Cal's estate. And so they don't
She's
like,
like, what happened? What
what
do you mean?
happened? What's going on?
What happened? We don't know either. We're like,
We don't know either at this point. And then when they get back to Cal's estate, Mirren's like, here's your room. It's separate from Cal's. And Riley again is confused. She's like, I thought we would share a room. And Mirren's like, well, if you can work out arrangements with Cal once you guys get to that point. So just further like illustrating that Cal and the other princes are truly caring about like Riley and how she feels and what she would want to do and when she'd want to do it with them versus trying to pressure her to do something. So like complete opposite of the Kings. And it really makes you wonder at this point, like, did they behave the same way with the previous potentials? Like, have they always been open to like whatever it is you want to do? Or is that something that changed in their behavior from what they learned in the past? I believe they've always been this way. They've not really changed who they are. But I think it's an interesting thing to think about. So Riley is, you know, what the hell happened? Where did they go? So she forces Mirren to tell her about like what's going on. And Mirren's very reluctant because she doesn't really trust Riley at this point. And she wants to know, like, Riley, like, why do you care so much? And Riley's like, well, we're in this together, like, no matter what happens. And it's only been a short time. And I'm like, girl, it's been less than 24 hours.
yeah.
She goes, right? Like, when you say short time, we are talking like barely a day. But she doesn't want anything to happen to them. And that, when Riley says that, she's like surprised by it. And Mirren's also surprised, right? To hear her say that because none of the other potentials ever cared about the legends, what they did, where they went, etc. So she does agree to tell her about these disturbances, is how she kind of like everyone refers to them. But they've been happening like randomly. There are attacks throughout the prince's territories by this group called the Faders. And they're supposedly rebels from within their kingdom or potentially like other places like Earthmore too. There is some belief that they could just be rowdy teenagers, but that's not what the princess and Mirren believe. And the Faders have powers of their own, which causes Mirren and Riley at this point to assume they must be demis, which then freaks out Riley because she's in the back of her mind super worried about being found out as an Ashlander and a demi, and then like concocts this idea of like, what if the princes think that I was sent by the Faders to like infiltrate them and like tear them down from the inside? I'm just like, I mean, we are stretching Riley.
Her anxiety's going through the roof, though. You know,
right?
she's like,
I can't blame her.
The intrusive thoughts. Like, I mean, I would probably be the same way. Like, oh my God, like they're gonna think the worst of me.
Exactly. Well, and I think she's been raised, right, by the kind of like the culture and the kingdom to feel that way. And so what's interesting is she learns that they've been hurt in the past by the Faders. And so she goes from like extremely worried about them to like ragey anger because they're not home yet and it's been hours.
Yeah.
So it's
She's
really
like,
funny to kind of see that transform.
yeah, yeah. And then when Cal does come home, her rage turns again into worry. And then she sees like he's hurt. She's like, oh my God, like you're hurt. I need to take care of you. Because remember when he, burned his finger, she like went ahead and took care of that, sucked on it for him. And so she's like, I need to help clean you up. And he's like, no, it's fine. Like I'm gonna quickly heal. And she sees that for herself. Like his body literally starts healing in front of her, even when she just tried to help him. But the only reason it took his body so long to heal itself was because the Faders seem to have this like mystical, like magical thing that like they like throw at them, whatever, that helps like delay the process of them healing. So it's going to start like weakening them. But she starts to freak out about that because then she's also like, you can get hurt. Like I thought you could never be hurt and killed. And she's also pissed that they left her behind. She's like, don't you ever do that again. Like, I don't care what the circumstance is. I want to see it. I want to be there. And she's so worried about all of them. And Cal is very surprised by this because, again, none of the other potentials cared or wanted to know about their legend business. And he just didn't expect her to care so much after 24 hours. And she makes him promise, never leave me again. And he's like, you might not like what you see, but okay, I won't. Like, I promise. And we kind of get a little bit spiced there because in 1 minute she's, taking care of him. And the next she's like ripping off her clothes, getting naked, getting thrown on his bed. And you look up and you're like, oh, there's a mirror. Oh,
there's a mirror.
There's a mirror above the bed. And so there's literally a point where she's like looking up and watching him fuck her. And she's just like, oh my God. And I was like, oh my God. I need a fan. Oh, buddy.
Right?
Oh, buddy.
Because Cal likes to watch.
He likes to watch.
A lot.
So he has a mirror he likes to watch. You can see all the good angles. Oh, at least I hope they're good angles. I'd be like, can I?
Right?
Like, don't look at me from this way, though. Like, look at that from that angle. But maybe you get lost in the moment. I don't know.
I would hope so.
Yeah. And then 3 weeks later, lots of sex for 3 weeks, lots of mere fun time. Riley continues to be surprised by how different Cal is compared to what she expected. She even tells him some of the stories and rumors that she's heard. And he tells her the truth behind some of those stories and that their behaviors honestly seem justified when you hear about what happened. How they are actually providing more aid to the lower cities, but their fathers have rules in place to forbid it. So they're kind of like trying to help as much as they can. But that could change if they come into their full power with their mates. They could take over and do more, which is another incentive for them to just kind of like be better. But then there's also a discussion around how the kings use those rumors to act as a deterrent for the others, which again makes you think like all the lies that the kings are telling, like why? Like why are they doing this? Like why are they trying to make these princes seem more like evil than they actually are? Like again, it's a power trip, but you're just like, because they've never really heard a bunch of these rumors. They're like, we don't read the Post or stuff like that. We don't read this crap. These tabloids.
That's what I thought of, was like tabloids, like tabloid drama.
Yeah, they're like, no, we don't believe it. It's not true. So then he takes her for a walk, kind of in like an artsy area. And interesting twist here that she sees a painting that she's like, I think my sister did this. But she doesn't reveal that just yet. But she sees a painting of like a cat that like there's a story behind it where she remembers her sister and her like feeding this cat. And she's like, I know that artwork. That's my sister. She did that. And it says, forget me. And she's like, is this a clue for my sister? And also, when was she in the Ruby Air? And is she alive? Because Cal says that all this stuff was done within the last like 6 months. And her sister's been missing for a year. So she's like, she starts to get pissed, honestly. Because she's like, I'm relieved to know that you're maybe alive, but also really upset because I've been worried about you for so long. And like, why the hell have you disappeared? Like, why have you left me behind? So she's going through all these emotions. and trying to figure out like, is this a message again, like to me? And I don't understand, like, why would I forget you? But also she's kind of like, forget you, like, how dare you? Like, she's pissed. But it's very important, and this can't just be a coincidence, especially given what we learned about her sister later in the book. Um, and so then Riley gets a not so great run in with the oculi when she goes into an art gallery that apparently is for royalty only. And they literally use their magic to stop her and like hold her in a trance and like hurt her a little bit. And Cal gets really pissed off and he shows up and stops it and he's furious and he's like, if you ever touch her again, I will kill you. And he's like, I promise you, Riley, that'll never happen again. You will always be safe with me. And so again, from the get-go, Cal's been her like defender and like protector. And I think that's honestly why she chose him first too.
I think so too. I think she just felt like immediately safe with him. Like she knew he
Yeah.
would be a great place for her to be.
Yeah.
But then we see all the princes together at Cal's estate and they're talking about Riley without her there at first. And it's clear like Cal is like infatuated with her. He's like, she's different from all the other potentials. Like he feels addicted to her, even though like they just had sex. Like he's thinking about like being with her again. He takes pride in like telling the other princes about what he's learned about her. And even though Jax is kind of like the Debbie Downer, who's kind of like, I mean, she's got secrets, you guys. Like she's hiding things. But you're in a new relationship. We're 3 weeks in. Who doesn't have secrets at that point? Like, no one's like, here's all my crap. Let me tell you about all of my baggage.
Yeah.
So they're hiding stuff too, right? Like they've not been fully honest either. But the best part happens when they learn that Riley was worried about them after they left on the legend business to help deal with the faders, and she wants to be included next time. And Cal goes, I think she even might want to be a legend. And then none of them are like, wait, what? No one's ever wanted to even know about what we did, let alone participate. Yeah. So I think that's when like they start to wait a second, like she really is different. And then she shows up to the room. And it's obvious like just her and Cal have this really close connection with their body language. And she doesn't hold back any of her opinions when she talks about the Kings, the Faders, the Ashlanders, especially how ridiculous it is that they think an oppressed people like the Ashlanders could amass the magic and the weapons to attack them. She's kind of like, do you hear yourselves? Like, they can't eat, and you think that they've somehow done this. That makes zero sense. And she says, I think it's Earthmore, which is apparently like what Jax had just said before. So she also is kind of already thinking along the lines of how they think. And then when it's time for them to leave, Axel goes up to her and says, like, come with me next, right? Like, make my city your next city. And promise her, like, lots of great sex when she does. And even Cal, like, watching them, because we said he likes to watch, can sense, like, the heat between her and Axel, which then, like, makes him want to have, like, the three of them go at it that night. But we'll get to that soon enough because they don't do it that night. But then...
I'm so excited for that scene.
Right? I'm excited to talk about the next one. So it's
like there's blushing. I'm blushing already thinking of it. I'm blushing.
Well,
I love it so much.
Before we get to that, on their like a second to last night together, before they have dinner with the Kings,
with some water.
With some water. Megan's cooling herself down.
Whew.
Cal's like the romantic, right? He takes her up on this rooftop of one of his buildings. It's like 100 stories up, right? Because his power is flying. So it feels like being in the air makes sense. And he can like sense that you have something on your mind. He's like, I know it's about Jax. And so she tells him like she worries that Jax barely looks at her or speaks to her. And Cal starts to share more about like Jax's powers and how like heavy a burden it is because he constantly feels everyone's emotions. And he believes that like Jax is being distant from her because he cares more about protecting himself than whatever secret she's hiding. He's like, Cal is very reassuring. Like, it's not about you. It's more about Jax. Like, we all know that you'll tell us your secrets when you're ready. And all I thought when I read this was like, listen up, people. No matter what your gender is or how you identify, that is how you talk to a partner in a relationship. Like, holy crap. Like, he heard her concerns. He was extremely thoughtful in his responses to her. He made her feel heard and appreciated, right? And then she like reciprocates by saying like, you make me feel really safe. I'm reluctant to leave, which is both like heartwarming to him, but also like he wants her to like have the same connection with the other three. And he's like, I feel so honored, but it's your choice. Like I can go with you. And I'm like, oh, you can. What do you mean? What do you mean? So he goes, I can go to Axel City with you for as long as you want. She's like, well, will Axel be upset? And he was like, no, because he wants you to feel comfortable and safe. And if me going with you makes you feel comfortable and safe, then he'll be okay with it. And then like all of a sudden, they're in the sky and we get sex in the sky. And
it's like a new Mile High Club, right?
it's a new Mile High Club. Talk about an incredible place to have sex as you're floating in the sky.
Yeah.
Like,
hello.
So we'll talk more about that because I was just like,
but also I'm kind of like, you have nothing to like push off of, like you're.
I mean, true, but I feel like his powers like somehow take care of that.
I think so.
But
and hers too.
Yeah. And hers too, right? Because she has like the power of like wind.
So maybe she can like push some resistance against her to help get up in there,
Up in there.
Up in there. Up in the air. Ooh.
And the Riviera.
Yeah. The Riviera. Could you imagine being a passerby and looking up and being like, is that oh God. You're like, they're fucking in the sky. Children, look away. Look away.
Wait, avert your eyes.
Look down at the ground.
Well, it's kind of like, do you know how people, like, there's people that like the thrill of getting caught? And like, this takes that to like the next level because it's like the thrill of getting caught by passerbyers walking around, but also like dropping to your death.
Yeah. Ooh.
So, but he's like, don't you just trust me? And at that point, like she does, like she knows because he says to her, I'll always catch you if you fall.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think he means both like emotionally and like physically. So,
yeah.
He's not going to let her fall. So she can just enjoy the ride.
Literally
enjoy
the ride. But then it's time for dinner. And the kings come. And she's like, oh, yay. I'm so glad the kings are here again. And basically it's another test for her. But before they go to dinner, Cal gives Riley his token, which is a beautiful ruby ring. And she wears it on her right hand. And it's just like a really beautiful moment. But then it's ruined by having to see the kings. And every time Baydal comes into the scene, I'm just like, ugh, go away.
Same.
Like I make my eyes roll right there. I'm like, ugh, I don't like you. But that makes him like a really good bad villain, We hate to love him because he's evil. So,
But he's also perfect at being evil.
He's perfect for it. Yeah.
Like it's
good.
It's very weird emotions.
Yeah. And then Cal's father is Julian, and he's like the complete opposite. He's super sweet to Riley, just like Cal, of course, and he has been very like nice with her with all their interactions. And Riley seems really proud of Cal when she talks about what she's learned in the city and the great work that he's done there. And then Baydal strikes, and he has an enforcer bring in information about Riley that he reads at the dinner. That now he's sharing like everything about her. And he's like, your family is on a never list mission due to not paying their taxes and they're dead. And like, so your parents are dead. And she's like, oh, okay. Why are you sharing all this in front of everybody? And she's also like, where are you getting this information? Because I didn't see this stuff on when I, explored illegally. And then he says, your sister has also volunteered for a never list mission. And you were born in Cedar and Silk, and you were a lottery winner for the choosing, and we're just kind of like, this isn't true. Who messed with her files? Like, we don't know where her sister is. She never found that information. And we also know you're not from Cedar and Silk. You're an Ashlander. So somebody messed with her stuff. And also, she wasn't a lottery winner. She forged it, or her friends did. So it's like, who messed with my files? And like, what is happening? But she has to just kind of smile and go along with it like, yeah, that's totally true. None of this is false at all. Ooh. And so at the end of the book, we don't really know 100% like if what he shared is partially true or not. And if that's not enough, then Baydell has a man brought in and tests Riley and asks her, like, would you kill him for his crimes or would you let him live in the dungeon? And she's like, well, what's his crime? Like, I want to know more about this. And that just doesn't sit well with Baydell. He's like, who cares? Like, he's a demi. And she's like, that's me. But she can't reveal that. And it's super, like, gets crazy tense in this situation because he shares that this man was stealing jewels and he was found in the Ashlands. And again, he's a demi. So she's just like, this is getting under my skin. This is very much like, this could be me right here. And she finally answers, like, I would put him in the dungeons because I want to know more before killing him. Like, I don't want to kill anyone. Um, but Beetle's like, nah, fuck that. And he can control people's minds and bodies. And he literally makes this guy dance around the room, which is horrifying because it's against his will. And then he makes him jump out the window to his death. And they all just have to watch this. And she's just like, what the fuck? And then Beedle comes up to her and is just like, you know what? I'm so happy I learned you have a sister. And you just know, like, he is going to use that against her and basically is threatening her sister's life. And you're like, I hate you. I hate you. You are a terrible person. Ugh. So that's Beidel. What a gem. But now it's time to visit the Sapphire Cove with Axel. Blue. And it's a beautiful paradise by the ocean. And Axel, Riley, and Cal are just walking along the beach, having a lovely time. And Axel wants to make sure that she wasn't worried about being with him, which Riley says isn't the case at all, since she just couldn't imagine ending her time with Cal. And it causes Axel to then fantasize about Cal and him fucking Riley. And he makes it clear, he's like, oh, I like to share. Don't worry. And he just basically has like major desire for her, like right away. And then there's a bet, which we all know Axel is the player. So he loves bets. He loves games. It's fun. A fisherman comes up to Axel and tells him something got caught in our net, but we can't get it out and we're worried like an animal could get caught in it. And Axel's like, don't worry, I got it. I'll handle it. And she's like, I want to come. Because remember when Cal left without her, she was really pissed. So she's like, Axel, I want to come. Like, don't send me away. And he's like, no, no, no. Like, you're going to drown. Like, you know. And she's like, oh, I can handle it. I can do it. And he's like, want to make a bet? And so they make a bet. And if she gets there first, she can have anything that she wants, which he's like, anything you want, babe. When in her mind, she's like, information is what I want.
About my sister.
Yeah. But if he gets there first, then when he comes back, he gets to basically bend her over on the beach with Cal. And he's like, we're going to fuck you however you want, beach. And I want everyone to hear. And her response is just like, sounds like I win either way. And he's just like,
oh, damn.
And Cal's like, I told you. I told you. I told you she's the one. And he's like, yeah. And so it's really funny. She's like teasing him with everything. And then she changes into her swimsuit and like they get on a little boat and she's just like, Axel, la 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 la, and like gives him a big old like look at my body and then jumps in the water. You know, like teases him, which he loves. And of course I love too. I'm just like, yeah, girl, that's fun. Little cat and mouse game going on here. But when she's like swimming down to the net, she starts to run out of air. And she's like, I'm trying to save this animal. Do I have enough time? Like I'm slowly dying, drowning. And Axel saves her, which kind of infuriates him and Cal because they're like, what the hell? Like, why'd you put yourself in danger? We don't want to lose you. Like, Axel's like, I haven't even a chance to fuck you yet. Like, don't die. But, you know, she lives. It's fine. But she won the bet. So that's the next fun part.
Axel's like, what do you want for...
he's a little sad about that, you know?
Right? And he's like, what do you want for winning? And she's like, well, I want to know more about my sister. And I don't know where she's been for the past year. I just want to know where she is. And she also tells them, when I was in the Ruby Air with Cal, I saw this painting and like Cal like remembers like that moment of them together. And he's like, yes, like we would, you know, Axel's like, I'll help you. Cal goes, I will too. And they say, but you may not like what we find out, right? And then they like immediately go take off to go find answers. And they're like, we'll be back in an hour. And Axel makes this joke. And he was like, when I come back, you should be naked on my bed so we can have our way with you. And she was like, like, okay, no. But it doesn't happen exactly that way right away because all four of them show up because they don't keep secrets from each other. And Axel finds out that there's no record of her sister ever joining a Neverless mission, which means that, at least according to Jax, thinks Betel made it up. And he thinks that, and Jax says this because he thinks that Riley is the one, which would make her a threat. And so there's this like constant, like I would call it like emotional dance between Riley and Jax. Like he'll look at her and he'll like feel this pull and you can see this like emotional connection. And then he like quickly like snaps out of it and goes back to brooding. And he's like dark and dangerous. It's kind of like this, it's really funny. So it's like teasing her, but also like pissing her off at the same time. Because it is like a cat and mouse game a little bit. And so then he goes to leave and she like follows him out and she was just like, why don't you just like rescind your choice? Like, you don't want me here. He's like, I don't regret my choice. I only hate liars. But you call her a liar all the time, Jax. Like, hi. I love the dark damaged bad boys. I love them. But oh my God, the mind fucking. Oh
my gosh.
He's just
we'll get to the mind fucking.
Literally
mind.
Jade Presley, like you've up-leveled on so many levels in this book. I can't. But he leaves and he leaves with Pierce, and you start to see that Pierce and Jax have like a really close relationship, kind of similar to Cal and Axel. They're all four really close, but they kind of have, I would say, like paired up a little bit. But it's like it's fun watching Jax and Riley banter because you start to see her like slowly like removing a brick at a time from him. Like as much as he wants to fight her, he can't. But then we get to the hardest part of hottest part of the night. Riley didn't do what she was told. Oh, the hardest too. Oh, sweet Jesus.
Sweet Jesus.
I don't know what else to say about it because Axel's like, you didn't do what you were told. I told you to be naked in bed when I got home. You're not a good girl. Yeah. And so you have to be punished. And I'm like, yes, please, wait.
Option 1 or option 2?
Option 1, we can spend all evening hashing out potential strategies about like your sister. I'm like, okay. Okay. Option 2, we can go upstairs and you can do as you were told earlier. And she's like, option 2. Option 2.
And runs up the stairs.
I mean, she doesn't get naked on the bed. She's like naked and like drapes herself over the chair.
Yeah.
And thankfully for the three of them and for us, she chose option 2 because holy fuck. We're going to talk about that scene.
Shit. Oh my God.
It was beyond hot and steamy. It was beyond, I was just like, as I was reading it, I was like, and that's just like 3 of them together. What happens when like, are we going to get 5 of them together at this point? I'm like, whew.
We joked about orgies early on in the podcast, and now it's come to fruition. We're like, oh my God, there's an orgy later. I mean, that's not really a spoiler. Like, we all know it's going to happen. Like, it happens.
This is like our first throuple that we've, I guess, discussed.
Yes, it's true. It's our first throuple, and it is a lovely, lovely throuple. But fast forward 3 weeks. Axel is completely smitten with Riley, both emotionally and sexually. And I just love how he speaks like with her and like she speaks with her heart with him. And he's also like super worried that if she doesn't survive this, like the Athery, like he's like, what if she ends up like rejecting us in the end? Like, he's like, I'm not going to survive that. Like, if she doesn't like live at the end of this whole thing, like I'm not going to survive. And like, if she rejects us, like I'm done. Like, she's the one for me. I don't want anyone else. And we also learned that Jax found out that Riley's record was tampered with, but he's not sure who did it. And in the meantime, they're preparing for an upcoming dinner on Axel's boat with the 4 kings and the other nobles, which is, we know, going to be another test for Riley. So after that, we see a cute romantic scene with Axel, and he takes Riley to go and see his mom at her temple. And it's just like so sweet. They go up to like her statue, supposedly like this is like where she's sleeping, and he wants to introduce his mom to Riley. And you're just like, that's so, so sweet. And he's like,
It really
Mom,
was.
like, and he's like, I've never done this with any of the other potentials before. He's like, I really feel this bond with you. And he's like, Mom, meet Riley, Riley, meet your mom. And she's like, you're a goddess. And he's like, no, you don't have to do that. Like, just, she's my mom. And he gives her a bracelet, which is his token that he had made especially for her, and tells her that, like, he's with her no matter what secrets she may have. And he's like, if you put this token on, it marks you as mine. And she immediately puts it on. And he throws her over his shoulders to like run back to the boat. And she's like, what? What's happening? He's like, what I'm about to do to you, I can't do this in front of my mother. And you're like,
Yay.
uh-huh.
Yes,
And
please.
basically, he's like, I'm gonna find the first surface I can fuck you on. And he like gets back to the boat, throws her like on the table right there, and it's like open air. And not that there's like, maybe there's people there, who knows?
There was people at the temple, I think.
Yeah, it's true, yeah. But at the boat, who
He
knows?
does
Maybe
not
there's
care.
somebody swimming by and he's like, I don't care. He's like, and he uses his water power. Oh my God. That's kind of what I sounded like when I was reading. I was like, um, but this time between her and Axel feels super different than the other times that they've had sex, because it's more like a mating bond. Just like snaps into place for them. And they both are just like, they're in it. They're in it to win it, you know? So when they clean up, it's time for dinner with the kings, the nobles, the other legends, and Riley. And the legends and Riley definitely aren't looking forward to this evening, but Riley is starting to realize that she sees a future with all four of them. And she really wants the five of them to just kind of like have that peace and be together. And we get to see her interact with Pierce kind of for the first time on a deeper level. They have a fairly in-depth conversation, which leads to us learning that he could make her orgasm without even touching her. And he's like, I could do this on the boat to you right now in front of everyone. And you're like, oh my God. Oh my God. And literally up to this point, I was already thinking, like, how can Jade Presley make me feel like I can orgasm without anyone touching me by just reading this book? Like,
Right?
I literally felt like Monica from Friends, where she's like, a 2, a 2, 4, a 3, 4, 6, a 7, 7, 7, 7. Like, that was like me reading the book. I was like, oh my God. Like, ooh. And so to know that now one of the characters can literally do that, you're like,
He can literally mind fuck you. Like in a good
I'm
way.
I'm about to be mind fucked. Like, but I'm here for it. Yes, please. Can I have seconds?
I lost my shit. I like put the book down and I was like, what do you mean? Like, he's like, if it's like, what do you mean? What do you mean? I'm like, what do
I
you
really
mean?
should have recorded my facial expressions listening to the audiobook of this, because I was like cleaning my house and like vacuuming, and I'm just like literally the whole time. I cannot wait to get to the spicy scene in this. Oh my God. So it was wonderful. But it unfortunately gets ruined when screams start breaking out because the Faders are attacking a nearby village. And you're like, God damn it. How dare you? But the kings and the enforcers go below deck because they're little chicken shits. And they do try and convince Riley, like, you need to be safe. Please go down with the kings and be safe. And she's like, fuck that. Like, I'm coming with you. Like, she looks at Cal and she's like, you promised you'd never leave me behind again. And he's like, yeah, I know. And so he lets him come with them like he promised. She's like, good boy. And we see the legends then battle the Faders. And Riley tries to help out the villagers as much as she can without revealing her own power. She ends up fighting one of the Faders with Jax. And it's much harder of a battle than they really anticipated, because the Faders have this like dust that they can throw at the legends that weakens their powers. And it's really like a problem. And eventually the Faders take off, hearing that some type of signal, like a whistle going off. And the legends have so many questions. And there's like, we don't have any answers to like what's going on. But a really cool scene here is Riley saves this woman and literally like, puts herself in front of her. And she's like, you are not going to harm this person. And Jack sees that and he's like, you really care for people. And she's like, yes. And she's like, and this woman's going to be compensated because she just lost her entire life, like livelihood. Like, we're going to help you. So she shows her heart, I feel like, there, which starts to kind of win the guys over as well. Um, but they also agree that they don't think that this was necessarily part of the test for Riley because, like, all the Fader stuff has been happening since before the choosing. They're like, this is not a test for you. Like, this was not supposed to happen. And then they spend the rest of the night ensuring that Axel's people are taken care of, discussing potential motivations behind the attacks, and they start to kind of work together as a team now, as like a team of 5. So you're like, she's part of the Legends group. Yay!
Yay, right? And then we get to
She's
go
got
to
to get
Emerald.
initiated.
Well, she's about to. Um, but then we get to go to the Emerald Woods, which I kind of imagined almost like in Snow White, like kind of like this magical like wooden forest. And she has like a different welcome because when she's went to Ruby Air or Sapphire Cove, right, it's been like exciting and it's been very intentional, but her and Pierce have spent the entire night like fighting and then helping people. So they are
Yeah.
exhausted. Which
Yeah.
the one thing I liked about that was I feel like, she's halfway through her time with them, and this feels more like reality. Because I think sometimes in relationships, like the beginning is like that honeymoon stage where everything's so wonderful. But like reality, like when you're married, is like going to Kroger. Like, right? It's
Yeah,
like
it's
doing the
like,
dishes, putting the kids to
yeah.
bed. It's kind of like the
The,
day-to-day stuff.
yeah, the domestic parts come in.
Yes. And I love that, that if she's with them, this is what it's going to be like. And what's nice about Pierce is he's like, my first priority is to take care of you, like to make sure you're like clean, you're fed, you're rested. And he has like a bath waiting for her when she comes in. And then like he leaves the room for her to take a bath. And she was like, you can come in. Why don't you come take a bath? Like, I know you're sore. And she's like, and then it's like really cute. She's like, I mean, I don't have the energy for anything else, but
Yeah,
like,
she's like, I
I'm sure you
can't.
can use a bath, which is like, it's just really sweet. And he's like so appreciative. And they like, like she like turns to look away while he gets undressed. Like, it's really funny because I'm like, sweetie, we all know what's going to happen at some point.
Yeah.
But what's really
They give
different,
themselves like that patience there,
they
like the
do
respect of like he turned around to not look at her, so she's like, I'm gonna respect you.
the
Like,
same thing. Well, and I think it's also because like they both know like nothing sexually is going to happen that day. And so it's also kind of like don't tempt fate, I feel like too.
yeah, yeah.
But her experience with Pierce is very different compared to what we see with like Cal and Axel. Because with Cal and Axel, like I felt like they explored the cities together. I mean, they were intimate like very quickly with both of them. But she spends most of her time with Pierce, like just and they're like almost like secluded in this little like cabin in the woods,
Hmm.
talking and playing games, and they don't have sex for weeks. And I think one of the things like when I read this was, Pierce's power is being able to read minds, and throughout the entire time she's like worried he's going to read her mind and learn her secrets, and he always promises he would never do that to her. Like she would have to choose to let him in. And so when you think about that, it makes sense that like he wants to get to know everything about her. He needs like an intellectual and emotional connection before he has like a physical connection. Whereas I feel like it was easier with Cal and Axel because I don't think that they needed that intellectual connection as much. They needed like the emotional and the physical, and the intellectual was like an added bonus. So I like love the spicy scenes in this book, but it was like nice to see like this change of pace and see Pierce connect with her in a different way. Because I think it really shows, like how different all 4 men are, and how while they all work together and they all like act as a group, she has like very different relationships with each of them. And then Pierce is also, I think, really surprising because he's like the first one that's like, well, if you weren't here with me tonight, like what would you be doing? And she was like, oh, well, I would be with my friends, Ivy and Lacey. And he was like, well, you should meet up with them. And she was like, what? What do you mean? Because I think even though they've been so, you know, trying to make sure she's comfortable, ensure that she has what she needs, she can make her own choices, she's never really asked for anything from them. And so I think she's also still felt like a little bit like a prisoner to the contract. Like they kind of like set the rules. And he was like, well, I'm going to go meet a contact to try and get more information about your sister. I'll go have someone go get Ivy and Lacey from where they're at. And she's like, well, I don't think they'd be comfortable at like your house because they're not used to like being in a royal cottage.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, I know the perfect place. Well, they'll go there. And I think that's where she realizes like she actually has a ton of freedom with them. Like, and Pierce says something that I think is really spot on. He's like, we don't want to possess you. We want to partner with you. And if you have a need, we're going to try and meet it. You just have to tell us. And once again, like that is take notes, people, for relationships, because that is like what everyone I think wants, right? Like,
yes,
you might want to possess a man in the bedroom, but like not outside of that.
Yeah.
So
like, appreciate my independence and like who I am as a person, and like I have needs, and it's like even though like I love you and like you are a part of my needs, like you're not all of me, you know, like I can still stand on my own 2 feet.
Exactly. And they respect that about her, and I think it's one of the things they love about her, which I think is so important. And then you get to see Riley with Ivy and Lacey, and it's really fun to like watch them catch up on like all the things that have gone on in her life. And you know, like there's this time where they're like, you know, asking, like peppering her with questions like, are you going to choose them? You know, are you going to, like, is this one good in bed? And like, just like all the things. And she
all
was
the girl
like,
talk.
I mean, like all the girl talk, right? And it just felt like if you were having drinks with like a bunch of girlfriends after you started dating a new guy or guys in this book, that's what you would discuss. And then she's like, Ivy, did you forge my documents? Because Ivy is the one that created the fake invitation. She was like, no, I didn't do that. She goes, someone else must have done it. And this is where I started to go like, is it her sister?
Yeah, I started thinking that too.
Right? Like, what's going on? And then what's interesting is she also tells Ivy and Lacey, like, whenever I envision that final choosing ceremony, I see myself there and I see myself choosing them, which I think shocks her to some extent as well, because, you know, she went into this thinking, I'm going to get information about my sister. I'm going to be able to sell a pen. And now we're like, what, 75 days in? And she's like, I can't imagine my life without them.
Yeah, she's like, oh my God, I was not expecting to like fall in love. Like, oh my God, it's crazy.
So quickly, so deeply. That's how it happens, people.
In the sky.
On a boat. On a boat.
In the woods. So,
we're about to get there.
Speaking of that, once Ivy and Lacey leave, Pierce's father, Brooks, shows up and swears he means no harm. And he really just wants to see how she's enjoying her time with Pierce. And he questions her about why she didn't go below with the Kings during the attack in Sapphire Cove. He's like, you could have been safe. Why didn't you come with us? And she tells him that she would rather be in danger with them than be safe without them. And she wants to protect their cities and their people too. So she starts to really show like a queen-like attitude. And that's when he drops this bomb that he wants to make a deal. He offers her enough wealth to start a new life, and he promises he'll find her sister, assuming she's alive, and that the only thing that she has to do is reject them at the choosing. So giving her like a huge ultimatum. And she shocks him by saying she's going to pass. She's like, no. She's like, the legends are not a price point for me, and they're not a bargaining chip. Like, I am here for them. There's nothing you could offer me. Which is shocking, I think, to herself as well. She's like, I can't believe I'm saying this. Like, I don't want money. You can't give me anything that would make me say no to these men. And so she gets home with Pierce, and Riley offers to show him what happened by letting him into her mind. So she's like, your father saw me. I'm going to show you. And that's like a big step and a big gift that she can give to Pierce, because that shows that she fully trusts him and that she's going to allow him to see all of her truths. And if she still wants her in the end, like, then that's it. And she's really worried, like, oh my gosh, she's going to like find out like everything about me, that I'm a demi, that I'm from Ashlander. Like, she's worried, but she's like, I'm going to trust him. Here we go. And her only condition is, let me explain if you see anything that you don't understand. And he's just like, okay, sure. And the moment he sees her memory of the conversation with his father, and he realizes that she didn't leave because leaving them wouldn't be easy, he's like, oh my God, like, I can't believe like you did that. And his mouth is just on her, like physically, he's just like in there. And then we get what can truly only be described as mind sex powers being used on Riley. And there are not enough words to describe what Pierce does to her, but we'll try when we dive deep onto the spice. But basically, he does not have to touch her and can make her orgasm multiple times just by like manipulating her mind. And you're like, uh-huh.
Uh-huh. Where can we buy that?
Can I sign up for this, please? Thank you. So after their unbelievably hot sex, Pierce gives Riley his token, which is a spider ring with a green emerald on it. Which at first I was like, why a spider? I don't get it. But then I was like, okay, like the mind and like webs and like you're secretive. I'm like, okay, I get it now. This makes sense. But he gives it to her only after 2 weeks of being together because he's like, I'm confident in our relationship. And he's like, I don't need a whole month to do this. And then he tells her he'll keep her secret until she's ready to share it with everyone. And so she's like, oh my God, he knows. And she's also like, which secret does he know? I have two. It's like, which one? But she doesn't like really want to call him out and be like, ooh, what do you know? Because it's like, maybe he doesn't know. But again, like that's just like a trust forming between the two of them that like, we're in this together. And even though I know your deepest, darkest secrets, I still accept you and I still love you. Which again, we should all want that in our relationships. Like someone who can fulfill us sexually, but also emotionally, but also just feel safe with. Like I can completely be a fuck up in my life and you will still love me and accept me. Like that security is amazing. So kudos to you, Pierce. Love that. And then sadly though, her time with Pierce ends and she's super nervous about going to spend time with Jax because it's just like saving the worst for last, like, but also the best for
last. Or the best.
The best for last. But, you know, he's been really standoffish with her and she's just like, I don't know what to do. Like, I kind of don't want to go, but I have to. And Pierce understands her apprehension about that. And he tells her that, like, you know what, the sooner you sort out your differences, like, the sooner we can start our final bonding process. And, like, Jax was right to have chosen you. And he also shares a little bit more about Jax, including that he's, like, rarely met a person that isn't terrified of him. And Jax is always bombarded with other people's emotions since birth. And, like, that's a lot to handle. Like, a lot how, like, Pierce can always hear it and, like, sense everybody's, like, mind, like, and, like, can hear their thoughts. Like, it's a lot, like, walking into a room and hearing everybody without them actually talking. Same thing with Jax. You can walk into a room and just feel, like, a complete bomb of other people's emotions. And he's like, his dad is always lying to him and always testing him and always punishing him. And now Riley's like, no wonder he's so closed off. Like, it makes sense. Like, he acts like he does it as a barrier to keep himself safe. And he tells her that, you know, while me and Axel and Cal would gladly accompany you to Jax's city, it's probably best if you go alone because otherwise Jax is not going to open up to you. And she's the only one that can really help him in the end. And that Jax probably needs her more than the rest of them combined, which is very interesting and very true.
Very true. Well, I love that you've seen kind of like all three of the guys try and help her to better understand Jax, right? They've all tried to share some more about it and make her feel like more comfortable about him. I have been waiting for this moment because like from the moment like they first saw each other at the choosing and I'm like, give me the bad boy, please. Give me the guy who's going to burn down the world.
Yeah, like it's been like a slow burn for these two characters, but a hot and heavy burn with the other three. So you're like,
yes.
I feel satisfied in my spice content up to this point. So now I'm also like, of course I want to see what happens with their spice, but I'm also like invested in their relationship and like their story. I'm like, I still want to know
and how
what's
they come
happen.
together right? Like, and
Yeah.
how she can break down that barrier and what all
Yeah.
she learns about him. But, and like what surprises, because I know he calls her Butterfly, like he's gonna push her buttons.
Oh yeah, we didn't even get to like all of their nicknames. Like Axel calls her Kitten, which is just like a cute because again they're playing cat mouse, like
Yep.
kitten kitten, and like Pierce calls her my darling, which I think sets also into like their attributes of who they are. Like Pierce is like he's like the poet. He's like kind of like a just like the sentimental, emotionally sensitive guy, and he's like my darling, and you're like, ah,
Mm.
yes. And Axel's like my kitten, like I'm with you. And with Jax, he's like butterfly, which like you're kind of like he's afraid to break her,
I think he thinks she's delicate.
and she's delicate, but she's not.
And she's not. She's not. So it's time to go to the Obsidian City, and we have been waiting for this. Hello, hello, Shadow Daddy time. Shadow Daddy time. Like, bring
Shadow
it
Daddy.
to me.
Shadow Daddy at its finest. Pedestal. He's up here.
Right? I need the broken bad boy with all of like the baggage, all of it. So, in typical like Jax fashion, because you can expect nothing less, he is not going to be like the other guys. Riley gets to his home, and he's like not there. Not only, he's not just ignoring her, he's not even physically at his house. And that like pisses her the fuck off. Like, he knows that she's coming.
She's like, everybody else was here to greet me at their homes.
Like, what the fuck? And she's like, is this like a test? Is he wanting me to see if I like go seek him out? And she finds out from Mirren where he is. And she's like, okay, we're going to go into battle time. And then she has Mirren get her ready. And like, what I can only describe in my head was like basically a step above lingerie.
Yeah.
Right? Like the super sexy black outfit. And it's also the first time that we see her wearing the city's color on her first day.
Yes, I noticed that too.
Because she's normally like on purpose, like worn a different color to kind of like show that stubborn streak, but she doesn't do it with him. And we also get to see protective Mama Bear Mirren come out, and she tells Riley, I know you're a demi. Like, I know, like, why do you think I make sure that I'm the only person that does your hair? Yeah. And so Mirren's been protecting her. Little mark is on
the back of her head, so it's like, I see it.
I know who you are.
I know.
And she goes, I've watched you fall for all three of them. And if you end up rejecting them after everything, I will end you. And I'm like,
I will kill you.
I will kill you. And I'm like, you are Dr. Bailey. Like, that was like, it felt like Dr. Bailey, like, so much to me.
Yeah.
Because she's like their surrogate mom. Their moms have been gone for a really long time. And you see Mirren just being like, don't fuck with my boys. And Riley's like, I never wanted to be a mate, but I can't leave them, especially Jax. And that just like, Mirren's like, okay, like, go get your man. But it's not, I mean, she's on board. It's not going to be easy because like, he's at this club that he owns. And
he's at work.
He's at work. He's at work. Because like, what would you expect from the man that you're supposed to be, in this relationship with, that is your mate, then finding him sitting with his like legs spread open, his shirt unbuttoned, watching a woman on a pole dance for him.
I love also that the nightclub is called Lust.
Lust, right?
You're like, but she like walks in and has to like get like a shot of whiskey before she goes to find him. She's like, I need some courage, man.
I need some courage, man, right? Because like this place is, whew. And so like she feels
but I also want to go.
I also want to go and see what happens, right?
I want to go there.
She feels so many emotions because she's angry when she gets there, and then she's like worried and needs that like shot to get her confidence. And then she sees him with this other woman and she's pissed. But then she like quickly like goes down like the shame spiral and feels like regret of coming, because like seeing someone that you care for, even though she like doesn't want to fully admit that, it hurts. And so the other woman's like, do you want us to dance together?
Yeah, like, do you want to see me with another woman?
A woman? Like, what's going on? And she realizes, like,
is that going to happen?
Is that what,
I don't know.
I know. I was like, what kind of place is this? Because, like, Jax is taking notes because he's, I guess, evaluating this woman's pole dancing? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he was like, no, it's just my mate. She probably like wants something. And the other woman's like, I'm gonna leave.
It's like, I'll let you guys work this out.
Right? Like, don't want to be here for whatever this is. Like, because that other woman's
Mm-mm.
probably terrified of him as the nightmare to begin with, let alone like that the woman he's like supposed to be with has shown up and looks pissed.
It's like that
So
awkward moment when you're like with like a couple of friends and like one couple starts fighting and you're all like, do we watch? Do we walk away? I'm gonna go over here.
how do I get in a safe zone so I can watch and know what's happening, but also not become part of the conversation?
Yeah.
So then Riley's like, well, you know what? I'm gonna start dancing on the pole. And she like starts dancing on the pole like it's like how she would grind up on Jax. And then they start bantering back and forth, which is just him trying to like rile her up and also push her away. And she's like, I'm not gonna run. He's like, well, maybe you should. And she's like, I'm done fighting. Stop trying to push me away.
Yeah.
And then he finally starts to share like part of his truth. And I think this is like what you see with him is where you get these moments of like where he's pushing away. And then he like shares like these nuggets and then he does it again. But he says like, I do want you. I had to choose you. I needed to choose you.
I had no choice.
And like, I had no choice. But like, he's worried about what he would do for her if she was really his. And Riley's like, I'm not afraid of you. Which then makes Jax go, you're foolish then. Like, then you don't know me. And he's like, you should leave. And Riley's just like.
And at this point, she's like literally like standing in front of him, super sexy, just danced for him. And like her hands are on his thighs and she's like all up in his face. And he's like, get the fuck out. And you're like,
yeah, like go.
What a shot to your confidence.
Right?
You know?
Well, and also like she has felt this emotional connection to him from like first before any of the other guys. And he's just like keeps being like, yeah, I want you, but no. Nah. And so she's like, it like breaks her heart because, and she decides she's going to leave because she starts to cry and she doesn't want him to see her cry. And she's not like, and I think like in her mind, she's saying, this isn't over. Like, I'm not done fighting for him, but like, I don't want him to see me like this. And then in an unexpected twist, she runs into Turner in the club just as she's trying to leave. Like, did not see that guy coming back, but it also makes sense. Like, he had to come back since we were introduced to him in the beginning. And he like starts getting really handsy with her and he wants to know like where she's been. And out of nowhere, Jax like comes into the room and tells Turner to get his hand off his mate, like in full on like possessive, like
yes.
Like I imagined he's like screaming, like ready to like kill this man.
Yeah.
Bring on possessive bad boys all day, every day. We are here for this. And then Jax basically makes Turner like pee and shit himself while everyone watches. And he's like, Riley, do you want me to kill him? And Riley's like, no, please don't kill people.
Don't kill him. Like,
and so
I'm glad you embarrassed the shit out of him, like
literally.
But let's not kill him.
Let's not kill someone today. So after that, Jax takes Riley up to like his private level. So he apparently has this level that's in the club that's just him, and he can feel like his power rising because he keeps saying like Turner touched what is his. And then we get to see Riley has like absolutely no fear with him. And he's like, you know, he keeps pleading with her, like, please tell me the truth about Turner. Please, please. And he says it like, I think 2 or 3 times. And
he's like, I've never said please before in my life. And I've already said it twice now.
Right? Like he's being very vulnerable with her. And she tells him about how Turner would threaten to put her in the dungeon if he caught her in a city she wasn't supposed to be in. And then that's when the buzzing stops. And Jax realizes that was her lie. That she was an Ashlander. And he tells her, none of us would have cared about that.
Yeah.
Which she had no way of knowing. Right.
Yeah, of course not. Yeah, no.
And then
based on like what they do to people that are from Ashland.
Exactly. Well, and she doesn't know, like in the beginning, like how they feel about Ashlanders compared to their fathers and how different it is, right?
Yeah.
So, but at this point, like you see Jax like being vulnerable, but then he's also like, I know you're my mate, but I'm worried about like what I might do to you or what I might do to other people if they threaten you. He's like, I would burn the entire world down if someone threatened you. And I was just like, anytime like a shadow daddy bad boy is like, I would burn the world down for you, like 1,000% I am here. Sign me up times a million.
I'm like, prove it. Prove it.
Because at some point, I feel like in a future book, we're going to see it. We see it a little bit at the end when he thinks she's dead. I feel like we start to see like the power rise in him, but we'll get to that. But he's trying to protect her from himself this entire time. Like, I think she's been thinking he doesn't want her. And he's really, I think, he's worried he's going to end up like his father. And he doesn't want that for her. But she's like not scared of him. She's just like, you're not evil. And she's like, why did you choose me? And he finally says it's because when he sensed her emotions, she felt like his. And I was like, holy shit. That is like one of the top tier like romantic lines I have ever read. And then you see his walls really start to come down and he's like on her in 2 seconds. And then he ends up taking her to what he refers to as the Nightmare's Playroom, where it gets really fucking hot and they spend like 2 days in it. And we're going to talk about it later. But
it's more than 50 shades. It's like 100 like bajillion shades.
Shades.
Shades of Shadow Daddy. Mm-hmm.
Save the best for last.
Whew. Yes, we did. I kept texting you throughout the point of like, oh my God, this has happened. You're like, just wait. Just wait. It gets better. I'm like, how does it get better? I'm like, I don't know. And I'm just like, oh my God. And even at this point, you're still like, it gets better.
Better.
And I'm like,
but it does.
I'm like, I'm so glad we chose this book because goddamn. So now the gang is back together. Yay! Everybody's. I kind of want to be like Quest Squad, but it's not. Legends.
But not Quest Squad. Legends.
Legends. Yeah. Sex Squad. Oh.
Ooh. Change approved.
Sex Squad. Okay. Prove it. Love it. So they're all back together. Sex Squad. They're at Jax's club, and the connection between all of them is so strong because, like, literally, she's like completed this like foursome going on here. Well, fivesome. But she suggests then like they stop looking for her sister until after she makes it through the Anthem 3 because she's like, we can re-strategize later on what to do next. Like, let's just focus on this. Let me survive this immortality aspect, and then we'll figure it all out. And the night's going fine until like Jax and Riley are dancing, and then all of a sudden Turner shows up, and she can just like see him, and he like has his magic blaster, and it's like aimed at the back of Jax's head, and she's just like, I can't let this happen. Like these men are my life. And she uses her powers then to kind of like warp everything so that Jax doesn't get hit, and she protects him. And Jax is like super like mad, obviously, and he hangs Turner upside down, and she threatens to kill him for this. You know, she's actually, no, I think she's the one who hangs Turner upside down. She hangs him down
like with her air power.
Yes. She like shows everybody that she's a shadow mama, if you will.
Ooh.
Yeah. She's like, I'm taking like everything to my own hands. Like, she is just like, you don't touch my men. And the enforcers show up, and Jax has them take Turner to the dungeons, which I'm like, just kill him already. I mean, at this point, like, he's got no redemption.
I think he's gonna come back. Like, I think there's something else. Also, where did this magic blaster come from? Because it sounds like what the Faders have.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, are you part of the Faders? I don't know. Because also, like, what kind of guts does it take to stand up to one of the legends like that? You know?
The Nightmare, like let alone.
And the Nightmare, yeah. It's like, you got a lot of balls. So I'm thinking you are doing shit you shouldn't be doing. But Riley then admits to everyone else that she has two secrets. Not only was she an Ashlander, which they already knew, but I'm a Demi. She's like, I have these powers. That's why I was able to do that. Maybe that's why we have this crazy connection. Because, like, your power feeds on my power. Who knows? But Jax has all of them leave the club and go to his estate. But nobody, like, speaks to Riley during this time, which makes her super nervous. She's like, oh, shit. But Jax is like, I wanted us to get to a safe space where nobody could listen. Like, no oculi are nearby, like, nothing. And she tells them that she's like, I'm sorry, I just can't control who I am or, like, where I was born any more than you guys can. And he's like, when Jax originally chose her, the goal was just for her to stay alive and like just stay alive, make them fall for me, and like not choose them at the ceremony. She's like, but now she's like, I can't do that. She like comes clean. She's like, I can't survive without you. I need all of you. Like I need air to breathe. And Cal, Axe, and Pierce reaffirm that they love her for who she is, and like this doesn't change anything. Like we don't give a shit that you're an Ashlander or you're a Demi. Like we don't care. You're already giving you our tokens. They stay. And Jax is like, I don't have a token. I don't do jewelry. He's like, I do tattoos. So his tattoo that he has on his body, he's like, I will put this on your skin and like tattoo you and mark you physically if you accept it. And she's like, yes, I will. I'll accept it if you accept mine. And she shows them her mark of like the cloud. And basically they're all like, ding, 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 we're in, like, let's go. Then we have the best scene of all time. Sex between all 5 of them. Jaw-dropping sex. We're going to talk about this in a few minutes, but let's just say I listened to this on repeat. I'm not going to lie. I was just like, what? What? You're starting here, and then he joins? And how? And where is he?
And whose hands are where?
And then he picks you up and he takes you and you're just like a little rag doll. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Can too many orgasms kill you?
Right? She might. This might be a case where so many orgasms just like send you into a coma. She's basically in a coma of orgasms.
Sex coma.
A sex coma, which is the best kind, I feel like. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. But then, you know, like they all get in the bath together and clean her up and like they're very sweet and loving and like Jax is the one who like picks her up and takes her to bed and snuggles with her in a black robe. And I'm just like, God damn, lucky bitch.
Right, right? Exactly.
Like, but then the next morning, they really feel like a team. You know, sex squad. They're a
Sex
team.
squad.
They can't be torn apart. And they start discussing then, like, who could have changed Riley's records and why? And that's when they also tell Riley that they don't want to risk her undergoing the Athenry. They're like, we are fine not having our full potential and our powers. Like, we just want you to be safe. Like, we just want you. Like, forget this. Who says we have to follow the rules? But Riley tells him, no, I'm going to do it because you deserve this. And she's like, I love you and I know it's where I'm supposed to be. And like, we are meant to be together. She's like, and it's meant to be a test for their true mate. And she's like, and I know I'm it. So I'm going to pass. It's going to fine. She's like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to survive. We're all going to be okay. And we're going to continue having sex forever. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Yeah.
So over the next 2 weeks, Riley works with the Legends and she gets her own like Legends mask and like her own jacket. Right? So like
She's
they
like
are
part
really
of the team.
part of the team.
So cute.
Part of Sex Squad.
Sex Squad.
As they go around and hunt for more information on the Faders. And then there's also this like hot sex scene between her and Jax because he tattoos her himself. And afterwards, like that seems to like another snap of like what I feel like is like a mating bond for like the two of them as well. And it's interesting because earlier in the book, there was one of the guys mentioned that he knew someone who could tattoo her. And I was like,
I don't know what I would get.
Right? And I'm like, breadcrumb. But now it's time for the Athenry.
I'm like, oh, I've got these, and I've got this, and I've got...
Megan's like, and I have ideas for other tattoos.
I do.
But we have time to go to the Athenry, which no one weirdly knows a lot about because it's never happened. Beto seems like really excited about, and anytime he's excited about anything, everyone should be worried because he's pretty much an evil asshole. Yeah. And he is immediately like, when he sees her that day, acting like he knows she's going to die. Probably because he's done something to ensure it happens.
What's in that vial?
Like, what's in the vial? I have lots of questions. And then there's this crowd of people that are like drinking champagne like it's a party. And I'm like, you're here to watch her maybe succeed, but maybe die. Like, who goes to that?
I pictured it as like the like party from The Great Gatsby, you know, where like everybody's just like having a good time, nobody's focusing, and she's just like, so I might go die now. And they're all like, woo, have fun with that, yeah.
Like, how it goes.
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit. So, and she has to wear this, like, really, kind of skimpy, like, dress, too, which also doesn't seem, like, appropriate to wear to meet the goddesses, but to each his own. But once the ceremony starts, Maidel is like, you have to take this elixir, which is enhanced with a drop of blood from the goddesses, who left behind 5 vials, so there's more chances in case you don't survive. And I'm like, I have lots of questions about this, because why is there 5 vials? We're going to get to this. But, like, why would they give them 5 vials?
Yeah.
If
that's weird.
There's only one mate.
Very specific number.
It's a very specific number. And after she says she chooses them as her mates, she has to cut herself and seal the promise in blood and repeat, like, I choose you to be my mates. As long as my heart is beating, my soul is yours. And then they're like, say goodbye to the princess. I'm like, because she's going to die. And I'm like kind of screaming at the book at this point. And I'm just like, does no one see what's about to happen? And she drinks this, like,
the
elixir.
breadcrumb there is also like, you know, like, as long as my heart is beating, my soul is yours. And I'm like, is her heart going to stop beating?
Like, what's going to happen? And then she's supposed to, like, drink this, like, elixir and then walk through this doorway. But she can't even walk through the doorway because she, like, collapses and gets, like, sucked into the doorway.
It's like a weird starlight thing.
Yes.
It reminds me of that thing from, like, the weird world of Strange World of Alex Mack, where she's like this liquid metallic goo.
Like she gets sucked into?
Yeah. And I'm like, ugh. I don't want to go in there.
And if she goes through this doorway, she'll be judged by the goddesses, and the princes go to, like, the 4 corners to wait to have their powers unlocked if she's deemed worthy, and then she'll turn immortal. Well, it doesn't go like that at all.
No.
Like, not at all.
No.
Which, you know, like, something's going to happen. It's all been leading up to this point. So she gets sucked in the doorway, and then, like, she starts, like, falling. It's interesting because she, like, experiences, like, tiny bits of each piece of their powers.
Yes. And, like, their worlds.
And their worlds. And the order that she visited their cities. Almost like she's getting a taste of their power, of, like, a tiny bit of her power so she can better understand them. And then once she goes through all of them, she sees, like, the goddesses. And it's, like, all white. And they're like, your mistrust of our mates does not go unnoticed. And, like, it's a shame. We liked you. We know that you're so bonded with them that even in your condition, you've created a space where your powers and their powers are one. And I'm like, all of that sounds great. And they're like, oh, you don't know what's going on? You're dead. And I was like, what the fuck?
It's like, oh, she doesn't know she's dead. It's like, it's like, what? What the fuck? It's like that episode, or that scene of, in the, like, the ending of, what's it called? The Sixth Sense. When it's like, Bruce Willis was dead the whole time.
Right? I'm like, what? Like, I knew she was probably gonna die, but also, that's not what you tell people. I also, like, excuse me, what? Like, I thought something would happen after the goddesses. Like, she wouldn't be able to, like, and they're like, oh, I'm sorry. You're dead. You didn't know? Aw.
Wait, it's a Taylor Swift song. Taylor can't come to the phone right now. Why?
Why?
Because she's dead.
Like, it's like, I was like, and then I started, like, sobbing because I was just like, what do you mean? The book's not over. We don't kill. And I'm like, Jade Presley, we don't kill main characters. We don't do that.
We don't do that.
We don't do that.
And then the princes immediately feel this, like, disconnection, like something is wrong. And they feel pain because they're like, we're losing Riley. Like, the connection is, like, it feels numb, it's going away. And, like, Jax loses his shit because he's like, I can't find a pulse on her. He, like, pulls her out and he's like, I don't feel a pulse. She's not breathing. He starts trying to do, like, CPR, and, like, his power is just, like, unleashing, and, like, grief is consuming him. And he's just like, help me, someone help me. And, like, literally looking around, but everybody's still just, like, drinking, like, what? Huh? What's happening? And like the kings are starting to run away as well because everybody is watching and they're like, we didn't do anything. Suspicious. But Jax decides he's like, I'm gonna get her back. Like, I don't care. Like, what? Screw the rules. Like, I'm taking one of these vials. I'm gonna get her back. I'm gonna find out what the fuck happened. And I'd rather die than not have her. And he's like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm doing this. And they're all pretty much just like, cheers. Let's go together.
Fuck it.
So all fuck it. Like all four of them are like, we don't want anyone else. We want Riley. Like, we're never gonna try this again without her. They all drink the vials.
Did you watch Yellowstone?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know there's like this point where Kevin Costner and Rip are like they have to go up the mountain and what's John Dutton's character is like, what's the plan? Like, what's the plan? And Rip's like, I mean, I think the plan is fuck it. And he was like, fuck it? He was like, I mean, yeah, fuck it.
Plan is fuck it.
That's kind of what I like felt like. They're like, we have no idea if this will work. We have no idea what we're doing, but fuck it, we're gonna do it anyways. That's what I felt like. They were just like, cheers, fuck it.
Fuck it. Let's just go. I'm tired. I don't want to live this life without her. Let's see what happens.
Yes.
So they awaken after they drink these elixirs. Like they kind of like go through this weird like scenario too. They awaken to see their mothers as well as Riley's body. And Jax demands that they give Riley back to them because she loved them for who they are. And his mother's like, we didn't do this. And she's really angry. She's like, how dare you like say that I took her from you? She's like, I didn't do this to her. And I'm like, Baydell, what did you do? I'm like, it's him. He's the blame. But she can't tell them who did. Even though like I'm suspecting Baydell. She's like, I can't tell you who did this, but it wasn't me. But there's some kind of bullshit about a delicate balance of things, which makes you wonder if this is another test for all of them somehow. And they learn that the only way to bring her back is to willingly give Riley all of their fully unlocked, unweighted powers with no guarantee that she'll return them. And like basically it's going to link their immortality to her will because she's going to be given all their powers back if she wants to, or she can just keep them. So they're just like, I trust her. She can take my powers. I don't care. Like, I want her alive. And so, no question, they do it. The princes awake, and the faders are there, and Riley's still not breathing, and she's still not moving. Because they're also like, you can give this to her, but she could choose not to take it, and she could just choose to, like, die.
Stay.
Yeah. So, like, at this point, like, they have no powers anymore, and now they have to fight off these faders, and, like, Riley is still laying there dead, and they're just like, fuck, what do we do? And Jax is like, well, I've got these knives. And so they're just like, we're doing this old school, you know, like we're going to fight and just try and live. And like they hide Riley's body so it's safe, you know, because they're like, I don't want her to get stepped on, you know? So like, let's put her to the side and just fight and hope she wakes up.
Well, and she's like still with the goddesses. So what's interesting is like her body's in like two locations. It's with them in the temple, but it's also with the goddesses. And the goddesses are like, there are people who want you desperately to be dead and desperately to be alive. And it's your choice now, which is like a theme throughout the book. Like she gets to choose. And do you want to stay or do you want to return to the chaos and the legends like you claim to love so much? But if you return, she goes, you'll have the full weight of their powers, which can be damaging to the mind.
Yeah, you might go crazy.
You might go crazy, right? And she's like, be wary of who wanted you dead. They did, and they tell her, like, the goddesses did not craft that elixir to hurt her or to kill her. And then Riley chooses to go back. So she awakens and sees her mates fighting off the faders, and they're losing. And they're like, they're all injured. And so she works to grab, like, almost like I thought of like the like kind of like bonds and like colored strings within her and send them to each of them so they get their powers back and they can get their powers, they can push the faders back. And then there's like this hand signal that's given again, causing the faders to retreat, which we've seen that. And the two times Riley's been there, we've seen that happen both times. And then her mates are like, we need to, like, are you okay? We're going to go clear the temple. We can do it really fast. You wait, like you stay here and rest. And so she's like going to wait for them. But then she sees a fader who she heard earlier be called like boss. And so she goes after them because, I mean, she's a legend now. She can't like not participate. And then she fights with this fader. And then she realizes from one of the moves that fader is her sister Erin, which like you and I both saw coming. Like that somehow she was involved. I didn't think she was the boss, but I knew she was probably somehow involved.
Yeah, like when the attack on the fishing village happened and she was like, they're wearing these clothing that you can't tell if they're a man or a woman. But like when she like hurt them, like she heard a female grunt, I was like,
Yes.
I think that's her sister.
I did too. And at
So when
this
this happened,
point,
I was like, boom, it's her sister.
Knew this was going to happen, right? And then her mates see her fighting this Fader. And so they then start to like take their powers to go after this, like this attack, this Fader. And Riley jumps in front of her sister and goes, no. And just her saying that causes all of their powers to like shoot back to her. So what the goddesses meant was she can give and take their powers anytime. At any time. So I think that was like, because they say at will, and you don't know how to take that when you first read it. Like, does she mean like at will, like it's her choice that she can do it like when she woke up, or that that's going to be how it is forever? And her sister, and so like now, like Riley's like overcome with pain from feeling all these powers, and their sister's like, forgive me. I'm like, bitch, please, like, you just tried to kill me and the men I love. Forgive what?
Yeah.
Also, you've been gone for a year. Well, you've got some explaining to do.
Yes.
And then her just takes off. And so, you know, they're like, what is happening? Why? And Riley's like, I still choose you. And then she seems to like pass out from the pain and all the powers. And she says, like, she thinks the last words she's going to hear are Jack's like crying to her, stay with me. And then that's the end. And then we get to be continued. I am not okay. It's a massive cliffhanger.
Oh my God. What?
What?
How dare you, Jade? How dare you?
Well, it reminds me of like when we got to Onyx Storm and at the end, like the way the page was formatted. And it was like, don't come look for me. And I was like, where's the next? What do you mean? Imogen did what she was asked. Where's the last 12 hours? What's going on? I'm missing pages. This was like worse than that. Cause I was like,
is she alive?
Is she dead? Is she alive? What's going on? Who did this? I have so many questions. Are we getting another book? When is the next book coming out? We are not patient people. And I was just like, and I finished this book, I think at like 9:30 at night.
So you're like, what do I do for the rest of my night?
That's what I told Josh. And we were both reading in bed and I just sat there for like an hour and a half and I like just stared at the wall and he was like, are you okay? And I was like, no, I'm not okay. And he was like, are you upset? And I was like, yes, I'm upset. And he was like, did I do something? And I was like, no. And he was like, oh,
Josh, did you mess with the elixirs? Did you do something?
Well, and what's funny about it is he goes, oh, this is about a book. And I was like, yes. He goes, carry on. And then he just went back to reading and he was like, do you want to talk about it? And I was like, yes, but no. And he goes, why don't you text Megan? And I said, because she hasn't started reading it yet. I can't tell her how I feel. No, like, I think you had just started or something. And I was like, I can't tell her what's going on. I can't even share any like emojis or giffies with her and give her any knowledge of this. And he was like, well, you can talk to me about it. I was like, no, I need you to read this book. Mm-hmm. He was like, why? I go, trust me, you need to read this book.
Mm-hmm.
And he was
liked
like,
it. Right,
so,
he did read it.
You know what I mean? Well, he hasn't read this one yet. He's going to, though.
Oh, I thought he had. Did you just read certain scenes?
He's liked, I think, what he has benefited from this.
He's benefited from the book, from the scenes. Yeah. So,
he's currently reading Fourth Wing and told me this is really off topic but unrelated. Like 2 nights ago, he goes, man, I really like Liam. He is like, with her brother Brennan being dead, he goes, he is like her other brother. He's like a surrogate brother for her. And I really love that relationship. And I'm like trying to control my face because I'm just like, because I can't. Because like the things that you have just told me, none of those are like, you have no idea.
Your world is about to be destroyed.
Yes. I'm just like, continue reading.
Which is what I'm going to say, once you finish this book, it's like, my world feels destroyed.
Yes.
Like, the Neverlist part of me is like, I wish I never read this because now I'm like so heartbroken, but I'm also like, how could I never read this? Like, this is amazing.
Yes.
I want more books like this. And I also want the second book right now.
Right now, please. But also,
Right now.
Jade, please take as much time as you need for your mental health to write wonderful content for us. We will be patient and wait. But also, we cannot wait for it to come out, and we'll read it probably as soon as it hits the shelves.
Yes. Yes.
But let's, before we go into Crazy Town with theories, because I got a lot of them. So many. Let's talk about Hot and Steamy, because this is by far a 5-pepper book.
The steamiest.
The steamiest of the books. To the point where, like, you and I were like, should we make all books 5-pepper books?
Yes.
Like,
should this podcast just be 5 peppers or nothing? Like, Sex Squad?
Well, the Sex Squad. Well, this book has, like, set, I think for a couple reasons, like, set the bar so high. One, because I think all of, like, the spicy scenes are so well written and they're surprising. Yeah. But also because I think there's some books where you like get spicy scenes and it doesn't feel like it moves the plot forward, or doesn't feel like an emotional connection. And this feels just beautifully done. So, but
it really changes the landscape, I think, of like my expectations now for other like 5-pepper or more books, because it's like, yes, of course, like we love this spice and like that's fun, but like I don't want it to necessarily be like a bad porno, you know? It's like I want there to actually be a story behind it and like intent, and not just I want to get off. But it's like I do want to, you know, experience that. But at the same time, like I want to see the connection. Like I want to see them grow, or, you know, like what's going to happen? Like, am I going to be emotionally devastated because of this connection? Yes. But I also want there to be meaning. Yeah.
Yes.
So
please emotionally wreck us. Good job. You did.
You did.
All right. Ruined. This is going to be
me, like Jack.
Ruin me. Oh, God. When he said that, it was so hot. Everything that man said was like. So.
Yeah. So great.
But let's get started. There's a lot of chapters to cover in this one.
Yes.
There's a lot.
Oh my God. Our steamy chapters is just like a whole page. It's just
like a whole page. And I didn't even put notes in it. Like, I was just like, the chapter and like, here's a quick little like highlight of what happened, because I'm like, we're going to probably read different things. So let's get started. Chapter 13. Riley sucks Cal's finger and then Cal goes down on her in the bathroom. Like, that's where we set the bar, like started the bar for this book. And it was less than 24 hours later. So we absolutely love that.
I love that it's chapter 13.
I do too. And then she was, me too. I thought it was like very intentional, like a cute little, I also like wanted, like, I have a question, like, Jade Presley, are you a Taylor Swift fan? Like, why 13? So, but then we get to chapter 16 and Riley like returns the favor. Riley goes down on Cal and then he returns the favor, and then they have sex with the mirror above them, which is,
oh my God, that mirror.
Well, and it's funny because like Cal like teases, I think, throughout their time together that like he likes to share, he likes to watch. And then when you like read the mirror part, I'm like, oh, like he doesn't mean just watching her with the other guys. Like he means also watching himself with her. Like,
yeah. You're just like, uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
And then he literally is like, there's one here too. And she like rises up on her elbows, tilts her head back to see the headboard is a mirror.
Sure.
And you're just like, oh my God, my skin flushes over my whole body at the sight of the two of us, me sprawled before him, his massive, powerful body over me as he stalks up to the bed. You're like, oh my God.
Right?
So great.
All I thought of was, this is not how it was described, but my immediate thought was, is this like, are they having sex in a funhouse with mirrors? Like all around?
Yes. And he's just like, I could watch this all fucking day. And she's like, I see my lust-glazed eyes in the mirror. And you're like, oh, God, I can see it.
Right?
Like, I'm like, should I incorporate some more mirrors?
In the house?
I do have a lot of mirrors.
There's always a good use for them.
Always.
I think that's what we can say. So then we get chapter 17. which is they don't like allude to this, but I got the sense that they had sex in the library.
Yeah.
Because like he talks about like pushing her up against the stacks and stuff. And then we have chapter 18 where like Cal mentions again having sex with Riley, but you don't get like a ton of details. So keep in mind, we are only at chapter 18 and we have gotten 4 chapters where there is spice. Either like very detailed or at least mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get to sky sex. Chapter 19.
Oh my gosh. Yes. So Cal and Riley have sex in the sky, which again, you're like, how is this happening? Like, but you're just like, okay, I'm so glad that we did this, and I'm very pleased that we are now in the Mile High Club. Thank you very much. And then chapter 25, Cal, Axel, and Riley. This is the I pick option 2, runs up the stairs. And literally, it's just like, I'm obsessed. He's just like calling her kitten, first of all. So he's just like, let's see how you do, kitten. And he starts spanking her. And like, you know, for her punishment. So she gets spanked and he's like, that's one, kitten. And then like spanks her again and just like has her bent over. And he's just like, it's like she wants my mark on her. And then he's like, let's see how you are. And he's just like, fuck, like you're drenched, kitten. And they're just like about to like go to town on her. And so literally Axel is taking her from behind, literally just on a bench, butt in the air, but you know, he's been also like finger getting her ready. And then she braces her hands on either side of the chair with Axel still behind me. Cal's lips are a mere inch from mine. And literally, Cal says, make her come, Axel. It's like, I want to watch her unravel in your hands. Cal's the watcher. He wants to watch everything. And so, like, literally, she's looking into Cal's eyes and he's watching her get fucked by Axel. And then he's like, I'm going to join. And so he comes up and he's just like, you're going to take us both now, kitten. And it's like, do you understand? You're going to take every last drop we give you. Okay? She's like, uh-huh. And I'm also like, uh-huh. And literally, Cal then sticks his dick in her mouth and makes her eyes start watering. Like, oh my God. And she literally says, like, I'm at the mercy of these 2 powerful men, and my body hums at the submission. Uh-huh. Yes. Yes, please. So literally, she's just like, the sensation is such a shock. It ignites a spark inside of me that shatters me. And I clench so hard and thrust him so hard. And she's like, I just whimper. And you're like, I whimpered. I was like, oh my God, I need a shower now. And that's our first threesome. And it was a good one.
It really was. Well, and it was unexpected. Because like that's the first time she's with Axel sexually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's like
they don't mind sharing.
They don't mind sharing. Well, and Riley says like throughout the book up to that point, like she's up for anything. And she really does mean it. Yes.
And Axel, we learn, has, you know, like the power of, they all use their power in a certain way with her, which is like kinky, you know, like Cal uses his power of flying to have sex. And now Axel uses his power of water swirling around her sensitive flesh while pounding me from behind. Okay. So it's like you got like a jet pool action going on, like on your clitoris. I'm just going to say it. Like he's just like a vibrator on her at the same time that he's like going to town. And you're just like, you're getting fulfilled in so many ways. You know, like there's hands touching you. There's mouths touching you. There's dicks touching you. Like, it's just.
And she's here for it.
And she's here for it. And we're just reading this with like our jaws like open, like, oh my God.
Yeah. You should definitely not read this book at work or during the day or alone.
Maybe download it on Kindle so nobody can see what you're reading. Like, if you thought that you had to hide, like, that you were writing 50 Shades of Grey, like, if you felt like you had to hide that book from people, you need to hide this book. But don't hide it, because it's wonderful. Share it with the
Don't
world.
hide it. Share it with others.
Share. It will save marriages, or it will impregnate you, or it will just have a fun time. And you're just like, okay. Yes. So that's chapter 25. Chapter 26. Axel mentions Riley having sex with him, but there's not a whole lot of details. But then chapter 27 is when he whisks her away over his shoulders, just like, the things I want to do to you, I can't do in front of my mother. And you're like, yeah, sir, no, you cannot. Taking her to the boat and just like throwing her over his shoulder. And he's just like, you're such a good fucking girl. Like, oh my God. And he's just like throwing her like on the table, uses his water magic again. And you're just like, yes, yes, please. And he literally is like also giving her like a lot of love at this time, just being like, I never felt this way with anyone. Like, you're everything I've ever wanted, kind of stuff. And I mean, I'm almost blushing trying to read this, honestly. Like, I can't. But basically, he, like, lifts her leg up over his shoulder and, like, pulls his hands under her ass, and, like, pulls her up on the deck. And it's just like, oh my God, I wanted the song I'm on a Boat to be playing, honestly, in this background of them just, like, fucking on a yacht. And it's like, it's beautiful.
Not a care in the world.
Not a care in the world. Everything's getting tanned. There are no tan lines. Like, oh my God. It was great. It was a good time.
Well, and then you think, like, at this point, I'm like, it can't possibly get hotter. Like, it can't, like, what else is there? And then we get to chapter 28, where Pierce tells Riley he can make her orgasm without touching her due to his mind powers. And I was like, excuse me, what? What do you...
Can you?
Can you? Can you show me now? He's like, I can do it right now. And she's just like... And he's like, all you'd have to do is say no. And I'm like... He's like... Ugh.
I can't. I don't want to say no.
I was just like... He goes, I could take you anywhere in the universe without either of us moving an inch, and there would be nothing you could do to stop me. And, like, I can unravel you in front of these people. You wouldn't even realize you're on the ship anymore. And I'm like, I don't realize I'm reading this book anymore. Like, holy God.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, she, like, just while he's talking to her, she, like, feels this, like, throbbing ache between her thighs. Like, she can feel him touching her, even though he's not touching her. And it's just like...
Like, oh my God. Oh my
God, what?
But then we get interrupted and we're upset about that.
Yeah. Because I was just like, because all I thought of was like when Harry met Sally, like that scene. Like, is she going to start screaming on this boat? But then we hear screams that are not the good kind.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But we get more mind sex powers in chapter 33.
Yes. Yes, we do. So, chapter 33. Pierce does the mind sex powers on Riley. And she also, like, wants to reciprocate. But hold up. Let me get to this super sweet part. Where is it? Okay. Oh my God. Sorry, I just found it again and I was like, yes. So she literally is just like, what do you mean? And he's like, sliding into Riley's mind is as easy as breathing. She's opened that much for me. And you're like, oh yes, she has. And as much as he like wants to like touch her and like be physically intimate with her, he's just like, I want to literally unravel every piece of you until you're like a limp, satiated bundle in my arms. And she's just like, what? And when he like full on grabs into her like brain, you know, he's like, I can feel her desire flickering against every sensor receptor she possesses, like little flames dancing on the skin. Like, she's not afraid. I hold her entire being in my power's grip. And literally, she's just like, I can feel the tension winding up inside. Like, and he like flicks like energy somehow, and she just like whimpers and her head starts rolling back. And he says, "You're mine. You're mine now." Like body, mind, and soul. And he's like, "Your mind, body, and heart belong to me," which kind of reminds me of that scene. He's like, "So do what I say and come." And he literally says, "Her moan is my new favorite melody as her orgasm floods her body. The taste of her energy tingling along my tongue like the sweetest sparkling wine. It nearly brings me to my knees, and I haven't even touched her yet. Not properly." And you're like,
Holy
and she's
fuck,
like,
right?
oh my God, holy fuck. And she's begging at this point. She's like, "I need to touch you. I need to relieve like some friction. Like, even though like mentally it's like getting down and dirty." She's like, she wants him so bad. And she's also like, "Don't leave my mind, but let me touch you." And he's also like, "You don't have to do that." But she's like, "Oh, I want to." And she literally like pulls down his pants and starts like sucking on him and just like going to town back on him while he's going to town in her mind. And it's like a crazy like Matrix thing going on here where like it's just sex everywhere inside the
Yes.
air. And it's like, again, you're like, how can it get any better than this? Also, I didn't know that I could feel turned on and almost like in this scenario without anyone touching me.
Right.
I'm like, Jade Presley, do you have this magical mind fucking power? Because I think you do.
Because I think you're using it on all of us because
You're using it on all of us. Oh my gosh. It was just like another great part that she says when he's like, "You don't have to be on your knees for me." And she says, "What part of this position do you think is about you?" Like, she wants to please them. And she does. And they
damn
please
girl.
her. I'm like, that's a line. Like,
It's a line.
What makes you think this is for you? It's for me. Yeah, girl.
Right?
Get it. That's just chapter 33.
They haven't even had actual sex, like physical sex yet.
Physical sex yet. But chapter 34 they do. Of course. And it gets even better. You're just like, how, what, huh? So, even better, he decides to blindfold her. And you're like,
Yes,
I'm
please.
sorry. I'm sorry, what? Yeah, a magical blindfold where all she can feel now is sensations. And he's like, "You're going to keep your eyes closed. Do you trust me, darling?" Yes, I do. Yes, I do. It's an unbreakable connection that has sparked to life inside of me. Every surge of need becomes an internal stroke of his power, playing with all the senses I possess like a cat toying with its prey. And he in this scene can literally replicate himself so many times where it's just like there's like hundreds of Pierces at this point, and they're all focused on her and all about her. Like, oh my God. He's in front of her, he's behind her, he's inside her, he's
on the sides, like it's everywhere.
everywhere.
And I was like, oh my God, she's like sensory overload. But then also I'm like, could he do this with the other guys too?
Like, it gives you a teaser.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was like, I think I'm gonna need that in book 2.
Yes. He's literally just like worshiping her with every single part of him. And you're like, oh my God. And again, she's begging, she's just like, I need this. I need this. And at one point he tests her. He's like, is this the real me? Like, which one of these is me? Like, there's one in front of you and one behind you. And she's able to find him. And I think that's when it like truly turns him on even more of like, you know me, like, you know who I am. But it's funny because she's like, if I answer wrong, what happens? He's like, you only get my mouth. She's like, well, I mean, that's not too bad, But he's like, tick tock. And she's just like, okay, I found you. And literally he just like is enthralled with her at this point. He's just like, I need you. I need you so much. They're liquid at this point, just like gripping the sheets, pleasure building, cresting wave of just like orgasmic craziness. And there you go. that's Pierce, everyone. And bravo, good sir.
Well done, Pierce. Well done, Pierce.
Well done. The sweet and sensitive guys are also the rowdiest in bed, apparently.
Right?
Because they're
But it
kinky.
has
Silent but kinky.
and surprising.
Surprising. And I love it. So then again, you're like, this can't get any better, right? Like, there's no way that this can just happen. But then he also kind of like says, like, just think of all four of us, how we'll ravage you once we're given the chance. And you're like, oh my God, don't tease me.
And I'm also like, is that the Athenary? Is that what she has to survive? Because like,
yes. So then you get to the part of Jack's kind of teasing, her, and he's just saying like, the things I'm going to do to you. He's like, I want to ruin you. I want to ruin it. He's like, I want to punish you for lying. I want to cut the truth out of you. I want to fuck you so hard and so long you won't be able to think about anyone outside the legends. He's like, I want you to take turns with them, lighting you up in ways you've never even dared to imagine. You're like,
sweet God. Yes, please. God.
Oh my. Oh. I was clutching my invisible pearls. I'm just like, I believe myself to be a very adventurous person. And I was still like, oh dear Lord. Oh dear God. What is happening? Do not give this to the a pastor's
Do not
wife.
give this to your moms or your mother's or your mother-in-laws.
No. Give it to your girlfriends, but not them. And basically, so what happens in this playroom is, we all know Jackson's really good with knives. So he takes her into this room. Immediately she sees it's a sex room, clearly. And there's like tables of like bondage and like chains everywhere. She's overwhelmed. She's like, I've never seen this before. And he literally is like, I'm going to tie you up and tell me no. But also, I'm not going to stop. And like, he takes his knife and just like slowly starts like undoing all of her clothes. Like, and he's like, don't you fucking move. And he's like undoing everything. And he just goes to town. He just like goes down on her and she's not allowed to move. And she wants to twitch, but she can't, obviously. And then he just like overwhelms her, overtakes her. And it's just, yes.
He is like so good at edging her. Like, I feel like that's, out of all of them, like, he's the one that edges her the most. And I think that's what he means by, like, I'm gonna ruin you. Like, he just keeps pushing her and pushing her and pushing her, but then, like, backing off.
Yeah. And she's just like, oh my God, like, I can't, like, what? And he's like, yes, you can. She's like, okay, I'm gonna do it for you. And you're like, But
for 2 days.
For 2 days. 2 days they're locked up in that thing. I also want to say the best line she ever had was she's like, you know who's not afraid of nightmares? People who don't dream. And she's just like, mic drop. Like, she's like, I'm not scared of you. So they have fun in the playroom. That's chapter 40. Like, then we're not done. No. Chapter 42, the moment we've all been waiting for. All 5 of them together. It literally starts off with Cal leaning back, and he's just like, I love to watch. He's like, show me how good you can fuck my friends.
I was like, okay. Like,
this is happening. This is really happening. I think in her mind, she's like, oh my God, this is happening.
Because she's been wanting this and thinking about this from the very beginning too, right? Like, even though like it was surprised her, she was just like, what if like all 4 of them with me? And I'm just like,
yes. And literally, so Pierce slips into her mind and she moans at the sensation of everything. And Cal is watching her. Axel is starting to put his hands down her pants, feeling her. And he's like, Pierce, do that again. Whatever she did, she fucking loved it. So like tag teaming her in this way. And she says, it's all so much Cal's eyes on me, the other's hands and tongues and bodies on me and their power. It will consume me if I let it. It'll send me into absolute madness. But wouldn't that be such a sweet way to go? Yes, it would. And Cal says, Axel, make her come on your fingers. And you're just like, oh God, here we go. So the first two that are up, I mean, essentially, I mean, they're all kind of warming her up, really.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but the first one who really is like, I'm going to fuck you. Like they all take turns making her come in different ways. Like Pierce is making her come with his mind. Axel is like literally fingering her and using his like water powers on her, all while Cal is watching. And Jax is like behind her, like kissing her. And he like doesn't hesitate then to like pull her pants down and like all of the clothes are gone. Everybody's naked. Everybody's like touching themselves. And she's like, we've all had sex, so it's not like this is new, but having everyone together all at once, being together with no secrets or games between us, it's intense to say the least, but I love every second of it. And then Jax says, you guys have had her for longer, so I get her needy little pussy first. And you're like, ah. And Pierce smacks her ass, and you're like, fuck. And he's like, well, then I get her ass. And you're like, are we about to get a double penetration here?
We are.
Yes, we are. Buckle up. Oh my God. Huh. And so, oh my God.
Well, and then it's like Cal and Axel are like, we can wait.
Yeah, the other said, we can wait, can't we, Cal? And Cal's like, absolutely. I want to watch these two ruin her before you and I put her back together.
I'm like, oh, sweet Jesus. Like,
oh my God. And she whimpers at the words. And she says, Pierce and Jax are a deadly duo who will fuck me within an inch of madness. And Axel and Cal are the warmth that will coax me back to reality. It's a perfect match, each of them and me. Oh my God. So good. And okay, so Jax gets to go in first, warms her up. And then Pierce comes in and he's just like, are you ready? And Jax literally is like laughing. He's like, she's more than ready. Fuck her hard enough for me to feel you. And they're just like, you're doing so well, darling. So they're praising her as their tag. Oh my God. Oh my God. So literally, she's getting double penetration here. And she has never had that feeling before. And she's just like, I don't know what is happening. She's like, the fact that they're talking about how to use my body is another hit of pleasure. And she's like, I'm nothing but their plaything, a body they're using for their pleasure, and I love it. There is a freedom in the way they claim me, both of them knowing each and every spot to tease and touch and taste until I'm whimpering, keening for them both. And she's just like, goddess. And like, again, Pierce is in her mind, so he also knows like every thrust that he makes, like the spot that he's hitting, he's like, I know it. I know what I'm doing, and I am going to ruin you. And she's begging for it. She's like, please do. And literally, after Jax and Pierce have finished, I'm through the throes of it when Pierce gently glides out of me and I'm lifted off of Jax in one fluid motion. Axel then has me in his arms and hauls me back to the chair, my back against his chest, and his hard leg slides right in. Like, they don't even care that someone else has already come inside of her. They're like, I don't care. Like, it just means you're ready for me. He doesn't bat an eye. And he just starts bobbing her up and down on him. And he's just like, is this too much? Like, they're all still trying to be, are you okay? Like, do you need to take a break? This is a lot. You've just had two at the same time in a way you haven't had before. And she's just like, I'm tingling with need. I need more. She's like, I feel like a queen. They make me believe I'm something worthy of worship. And she literally looks over at Cal and gives him a come hither, like, I need you. Come. In more ways than one. Yeah. And she takes him in her mouth and she moans all around his mouth. And it's just like, they're all just like, fuck. Like, this is amazing. It's the best sensation in the world. Like, Jax and Pierce are now like spent on the couch and they're just like exhausted from pleasure. And she is just like eyes rolling the back of her head, feeling it, taking it deeper, and just like loving it. And this is actually really cute. I know it's a cute part here too. This is where all of them have had their little nicknames for her, right? Like Axel calls her Kitten, Pierce calls her my darling, Jax calls her my little butterfly. This is the first time that Cal actually calls her something, and he goes, "You want me to fuck your mouth, my little Demi?" Ooh. So now Demi is like a lovely little thing. And then Axel is just saying like, "I love you, and I fucking love the way you can take us, all of us." And they're like, "You were made for us." And she responds back and says, "You're mine. You're all mine." And dear God, is that just one way to have a sex scene? Like,
Sex squad.
Sex squad. Sex squad. Great job. Great job, Jade.
Like, still not over it.
I'm still not over it. No. And then they like all pick her up and like take her to the bathtub and like treat her like a queen again. Like just like cleaning her off, and they're just like loving with her. And there's like no jealousy between them either. Like Jax is like, "I'm gonna pick her up and take her to my bed, and you guys can go sleep over here." And they're like, "Cool."
Okay.
And then you're like, "Am I sexed out?" No, I'm not. Because in chapter 44, Riley mentions having sex with Jax again after he tattoos her, and you're just like, this is a lovely, lovely situation we all have going on here. So yeah.
That does sound like, right? Like just in general, really hot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like he marks her physically and then he marks her.
Yeah, he does. Not gonna lie, I dated a guy who was a tattoo artist for a little bit. I may have gotten a tattoo and then had fun. Mom, I hope you're not listening to this because it's been dirty up until this point. I hope your mom's
not listening to this one either.
I hope she's not. I hope she's not. But I'm like, I can kind of relate to that scene a little bit where it was like, that's hot.
Right?
That was nice. So this whole book, oh my God, just so many peppers, so much spice. I think we literally just spent like 30 minutes talking about all the sex scenes, which is not enough.
It's not. It's not enough, but it has set the bar, I think, for like what I want in terms of like spice and emotional connection in books moving forward. Like it really has raised the bar. Regardless of like if it's 3 peppers or 4 or like whatever, it's so the amount of intimacy, both like physically and emotionally, is just next level. It's so well done.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. It's like, it doesn't even have to be like this hardcore, you know?
Yes.
Like it doesn't have to be an orgy or like a threesome. Like, yes, that's fun to read about, but it's like, it's just about the connection, honestly.
It really is. It really,
Which is
really
hard
is.
to describe unless you've read it. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Unless you've watched the characters develop like throughout it too.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to switch gears. We're going to fan ourselves a little bit. Mist ourselves with some water.
Yeah, seriously.
We got a lot of theories.
Oh, I squirted myself.
Oh my God. Well, like we said, this is not a book you should read. If you're in a relationship, I highly recommend you don't read this when your partner is not around. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, you need someone to help you relieve yourself after this.
Afterwards.
Or do not read this or listen to this when you are in public, like I was, unfortunately, a couple of times. Like, I was at the car wash and I was reading and like listening to the scenes and I was like, oh my God, oh my God, I need to go home right now.
Right?
Or I was at Target and I was picking out clothes for my kids and I was just like, oh my God, I cannot be in public right now. I cannot be in public. I'm like, I need to go buy some new underwear right now. Like, okay, bye. Like,
yeah. I need to go.
So good.
So good.
And if you don't have a partner, I hope you have a good other way to take care of yourself.
Because you will need it too.
Because you're going to need to.
You're going to need to. And I will just say, like, your partner may thank you for reading this book later.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. Theory time. We got a lot of theories. There's a lot going on. So, welcome to Crazy Town with us as we theorize. So, where are Riley's parents? Do we think they're really dead?
I don't think they're dead.
I don't think they're dead either. I think the information's inaccurate. We know the documents were forged by someone else, which means like it's possible that information's misleading. And we still don't know who forged them. I think it was maybe her sister.
Maybe.
But why?
I feel like her parents maybe more so. Like,
Why?
is there a
Are her
prophecy
parents
somewhere
Ooh.
that like only a demi could really like unveil everything with these guys? So like maybe they knew that. I mean, I don't know. But like as a parent, like, do you want to know your child's sex life? Like, do you want to know that like your daughter's about to be ravaged by 4 men at once? Like, I don't
No.
need to know.
No.
Like, that's you. That's fine. But like, when it's your kid, I'm like, I don't need to know these details. Like, you can live your life separately. So I don't know. Maybe it was her parents. Maybe it was her sister. Like
Something, right? So we think they're
somebody did
alive.
it.
Someone did it. We think maybe your
Yeah.
sister forged the documents. We don't know where they're at. Okay. Do we really believe the goddesses went to sleep on their own? So, right, we know they told Riley, you were right not to trust their mates, which makes me think there's more to the story about what happened. So,
Mhm.
is it possible the kings had something to do with it? We know they were power hungry during that
Yes.
time, and it's one of the reasons the goddesses tied the 4 princes together and wanted them to have one mate to prevent that battle from happening again for power. Also, the goddesses seem to be able to see everything that's happening. If they're asleep, how can they see what's happening?
Right? And wouldn't they be angered by what's happening? Like, why can't they come back?
Right. Because they can't, and they also can't tell Riley or the princes the truth, which means like it feels like they're trapped somehow. Like they can't even choose what they say for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And then
It's
we
like,
also go ahead.
no, yeah, I was gonna say like it's like they're literally forbidden from saying like they can't say like almost like an ACOTAR, where like
Yes,
Tamlin can't say anything about the actual like curse on the land, so they have to call it something else. So
that's
yeah,
what
it's
I
like, is
felt
there
too.
something
Like,
going on here? Yeah.
and then we see like when Riley's with Axel that he tells her, I don't understand why my mom hasn't woken up, considering like there have been decades of peace, right? So I
bad
feel
for
like that's like
him.
another, I feel do too, but it feels like another breadcrumb that like they didn't do this on their own. So, one, is it possible they're dead? Because at the end of the book, when the princes are fighting the Faders and they've given her powers back, but she hasn't like chosen to come back yet. The goddesses say that the princes are in danger of meeting us again, but on fate's terms, not their own, like indicating that they're close, like the Faders could kill them, which would lead me to believe that the goddesses they might actually be dead, or they're in the in between.
Yeah.
Because there's also where they say about Riley, like she's in the in between. We know from personal experience that can be hard to leave. So I wonder if it's possible that like either they are dead or they're dead but stuck in the in between and can't come back, but also choose not to move on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which if that's what happened and the kings did something to basically like kill or I guess like not possess,
Like in a coma of their own in a
like in a
way, but
coma, like cause their moms to have gone away and be stuck.
yeah.
Those legends are gonna lose their shit.
I
Which
think
I
the
would
kings
love
are
to see.
definitely to blame for it, specifically Badel. Like, what's really going on with him and the other kings? Like, they're clearly up to something because this entire time, like, everything is related to the choosing their potential mate before Riley was selected. But each of the princes talks about how their fathers are acting unusual before the choosing events. And, like, they keep reiterating the importance of it. And it's like, okay, it makes some sense since they failed to find a mate multiple times now. Like, wouldn't they want them to find a mate? Like, who knows? Do the kings really want their princes to rule? I don't think so. I think the
I don't
kings
think
like being kings.
I do too. And so if they don't come into their full, because like this is a thing that didn't feel like it was 100% explained, is when they come into their full powers, do they take the throne then? Because the kings are
Yeah.
immortal. I
Yeah.
think so, but that wasn't clear because they kept referring to her that she would be queen, which would make us think that the kings would be the princes would become kings, but that wasn't
Yeah.
ever clearly stated.
So
So
it's like, do the kings then like step down somehow?
because I can't imagine that happening.
No, they aren't gonna like that. And also, like, if she becomes the queen, Yeah, is she a queen to those kings or to the princes? Like, was she actually supposed to sleep with the first four as well? Like, I don't know.
I don't think so. I
Ugh.
don't think that was ever the intention.
I
I
don't
think
think so
Beto
either.
is just like a ugh,
A
disgusting
horny
old
old
man.
guy. He's
Yeah.
Hugh Hefner, but
Mm.
ugh,
Ugh.
no, thank you. It's yeah, but there's more also to the scene, the morning after the choosing, where we see Beto yelling at his personal guard about handling a situation, and it's like, huh, is this scene really meant for Riley to like see more of Beto's vicious side, or is it that like an enforcer failed to do what they wanted him to do, and that like warrants a certain response? Like, there's
See, I wonder,
more
there's
behind the
more to
curtain.
it.
Yeah,
I wonder if the enforcers are somehow tied to the faders,
yeah. But it
right?
could be like the common enemy tactic, like everybody
Yes.
needs a common enemy. So, like, the kings are kind of like helping out the enforcers and the faders in a way, but it's just so
Who
weird.
knows? Okay, this one's real crazy town, so just bear with me. Okay, because I went through this like 3 times to make sure. So
Yeah.
there's this anti-fertility tonic. And so one of the things that I love about this book is like everything related to like sex is there's consent always, right? And this could be nothing. But Riley points out that when she first takes it, which is like her first kind of day with Mirren, that it's different than what she's taken in the past. And Mirren says it's a more potent version that'll last for a month. And then we see her take it right before her time with Cal, right before her time with Axel, and then she doesn't take it again. Not before Pierce or Jax. So, 2 things. One, is this just us being crazy, me being crazy? And Jade Presley mentioned it twice and then like didn't mention it again, or it got edited out or something and didn't think anyone would go to Crazy Town with this theory? Or is it intentional? Because it was mentioned as being monthly, so she should have to take it before she's with each of them. Is it really an anti-fertility tonic? Is it something else? Is it possible it has something to do with what ends up happening at the Anthony? And because she didn't take it the other 2 times, that's part of the problem. Also, this is real crazy town. Let's say it was an anti-fertility tonic, but she didn't take it before Jax and Pierce. The goddesses mentioned something about Riley's condition. They said, like, in her condition, she created a space where her powers and her mate's powers were one. Are they referring to her being dead and that's her condition, or is she pregnant?
Snap. Maybe.
Right?
I've been wondering that too. I'm like, she's having a lot of sex up in here. Like, there's a lot of semen from a lot of different people.
We'll have different people. We have not taken in a fertility tonic, or if we have, it's not been clearly described to us. So,
Could she be pregnant?
could she be pregnant?
And with whose baby? Or can she
Or with
have
all
like
of them?
all of their baby? Yeah, it's like, is there like some like weird way like I don't know
Is
what
that
that's supposed
what's
to mean, but
well, because like there's this comment about like a final bonding. We can take the final bonding step.
Mm-hmm.
But in Mirren's very clear in the very beginning that the princes want a mate, not an heir.
True.
But we don't see her take, I don't know. There's something about it. And we also know there's something with Mirren and Julian. Like, I trust Mirren, but I also am kind of like,
they have a little
I don't know.
flirtation going on between the two of them.
Yes.
And,
Okay.
There's so many questions here.
So many questions. So back to Beidel and his sketchiness. It
Yes.
feels obvious he expects her to die, right?
Yeah.
Like, because he clearly has
no
something
witty
to do with it.
banter. Yeah, he's not no witty banter, no terrible things to say, and she's just like, I'm shocked.
And he's like a weird giggles, right? Like, just like he's excited for the day. Yeah, right? Like, just, what is wrong with you? So,
Calm
does
down.
that mean calm down. You're being too loud. Does that
Yeah.
mean the other kings are involved too? Or is it just him? And is he trying to take over power? Because he is the most powerful, and so would Jax be if it became unlocked. So did he do something to the elixir? We know that the goddesses created the elixir not to cause her harm. So either someone changed the elixir, something else was done to Riley beforehand that would have caused her that experience and pain and to die.
Yeah.
Okay. Were all 5 of the elixirs switched? So any potential mate that took them would die? Because he makes this comment early on about there are always more girls dying, and that's in italics, to take her place.
Oh boy.
So has this been his plan all along, is to kill any potential mate, like to make it impossible?
Yeah.
Is that why Pierce's father tries to make a deal with Riley? To get her to leave because he knows what awaits her?
Yeah. And he knows his son like really, really loves her, and he's like, I don't want him to get hurt.
Or, are you ready?
Mm.
Have they all been lying? Like, does Badel not tell her everything about the Athenary? See, we don't know all of the details.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
because no one's gotten this far.
No one's gotten this far. And no one else really knows, right? We just trust everyone trusts what the kings say about it. So, we know there are 5 vials. What if they were supposed to all 5 take them at once?
Like, she was supposed to take all 5 at the same time?
No, she was supposed to take them, and so were the 4 princes.
Yeah.
They are to do it together.
Yeah. Oh, because he planned for all of this. He wanted them to die, I bet. Like, what if Beta wanted all the sons to die? So he's like the most powerful king, the last one standing. Maybe.
Potentially, but I don't think he wanted them to die. I think my thought is like he knew if only if like only the potential took it, she would die, because it has to be all 5 of them together. And so he just thought we'll run through enough potentials until there's no more elixir, and then they can never come into their full powers and it's over.
That's what his thought was. But really, the goddesses were like, there's all 5 because it's the last final test. Like,
yes, and you all do it together. Yes.
Which they did. They did. Why everything kind of, in a way, worked out in the end. They're like, this is her. This is the only one we want. Like, we're going for her. Yeah.
But it didn't work the way they thought it was supposed to.
Yeah.
Because they kept saying the elixir was not meant to hurt you. So that makes me wonder, like, is it possible like they just didn't tell her the whole story? Like, she was supposed to take it with the princes at the same time.
Yeah. Or was there something with the blade? Or she had to cut her hand?
True.
Like,
which was kind of weird.
Yeah, I was like, I don't really want like sacrificial blood stuff. We don't need that. But I'm like, yeah, maybe there was something weird with that though.
Yeah, that's true. We have lots of questions.
A lot of questions. Not enough answers. But also, another question is, why did her sister join the Faders? How did she become the leader? What do they really want? Because, like, it doesn't seem to have any purpose besides creating chaos and destruction. Like, they haven't, like, put out, like, a memo or, like, you know, they haven't nailed anything on the front door. They're like, we don't want anything. They're just, like, trying to fuck shit up.
Yeah, they're not even stealing anything, or it's not, like, none of it seems intentional.
Yeah, they're just, like, trying to cause harm for harm's sake. And it's like, is it possible that like when she did sneak into the choosing last year, she was captured and she was required to join the Never List, and then that involved leading the Faders because, again, the kings are trying to create anarchy to keep themselves in power. Everyone needs a common enemy, so they're like, your Never List, like the Never List is actually being a Fader.
That would mean her parents were on it.
Yeah.
But how long has this been going on? Like, they said it started before this choosing, but how, that's the other question. Like, it's kind of vague. Like, has it been less than a year? Because then that definitely would tell us, like, I don't know. I just can't see why, because there's no purpose. I can't see, we know very little about her sister. I'm about to act like I know everything about Erin and her motivations. And, like, I just can't see Erin doing that.
I can see Erin doing this. But, right? Like, also, like, Erin's kind of been with her every step of the way in a certain way, because she like reflects like, what would Erin do? You know, like she would act like cocky and confident. Like, this is how my sister would probably like dance on a pole for somebody. And so like, so she's been there. So like, we know her sister has swagger. We know her sister has like her own little demi power too. So it's like, but yeah, so we don't know what her other intentions are. And it's like, I need answers. Also, why can't the goddesses just tell Riley and the princes what is going on? Like, maybe they are dead. maybe, you know, like they have to be selective with their word choices because there's like a weird, like literal lockdown on what they're allowed to say. The only thing that they can tell us is that Riley was correct to not trust the mates. We're like, yeah, we know the Kings are bad boys. We don't trust them. And that Riley already has a drop of Neff's blood, or Neff's blessing in her blood, which, you know, is why she's a demi. But it's like, maybe that's why Riley's powers are like stronger than even she knows. Like she's super bonded to the princes. There's a delicate balance. They can't upset. Be wary of who wants her dead. Like, okay, what's this balance? What's going on? Who wants her dead? We know Badel wants her dead. Like, duh.
Yes. And Turner.
And Turner, who is still alive in the dungeons. Like, everything is so cryptic, which is fun. Because that keeps you reading. Besides the sex scenes, you keep reading to find out the mystery. Like,
well, then I also keep thinking about, like, the 25 million different ways this could go down. I'm just like, oh, tell me
that's
something.
What I love.
I need a breadcrumb.
I love this in a book where I'm like, I try to figure it out. And like, some things you can't figure out. You're like, aha, I was correct. That was her sister. I knew that was going to happen, but I don't know why.
Yes.
And now I'm literally grasping at straws of like, maybe this, maybe that. There's no clear answer.
There isn't.
But it's fun.
Okay. So Riley can't be dead.
I refuse.
Like, she can't. No. I refuse to believe that, because we know we're getting a sequel. She can't be dead. So she's more than likely having all the powers overwhelms her mentally, because they make a couple comments about that, right? Which causes her to collapse. And
or she collapsed because she's pregnant.
Which is another thing, right? And she just went through a bunch of stuff. Who knows?
Who knows?
Because, like, Pierce and Jack struggled with their powers, and they weren't even fully unlocked. And now she has, like, all 4 of them unlocked powers, plus her powers. So is this going to be, like, a Sleeping Beauty type of situation, where they have to, like, find a way to awaken her?
Like, is she trapped in the, like, in between with the goddesses?
Right. Or can she travel back and forth between reality and the in-between? Like, whenever the power overwhelms her, does that become where she can go back to learn from them? Is she immortal?
Right.
Because Athenry is supposed to make her immortal. Is she immortal now? The goddesses don't tell us she's going to become immortal. They say the prince's immortality is tied to her will, but they don't say anything about her immortality. Can she be killed?
Yeah. And if she dies, do they all 4 die?
Right.
Like,
what happens if there's an heir and there's a baby that has the powers of the 5 of them? Should we fear that baby? We don't know.
Right. I need answers to my questions.
So many questions. Okay. This entire book made my heart race.
Yes.
Made me hot and bothered, all the things.
Made other things race, too.
Yes, right? And
like,
it started, like, from the moment at the choosing ceremony where she sees who ends up being Jax. Like, there is just something about him that I was, like, immediately drawn to. And I was like, Shadow Daddy, bad boy, yes. Like, the book was so easy to fall in love with so quickly. Mm-hmm. And then 4 guys, 1 Riley. Oh my god, I need a cold shower. Like,
mm-hmm.
That's, you guys read the book. Like, it's just incredible.
So good.
And I had a really I read this book pretty quickly. I think it took me like 3 evenings to get it done. But one of the things about it was, like, once that we started, like, the section on the Athenry, I could not stop. I had to, and thankfully I had started reading it earlier that night. Because I got done, like I said, around like 9:30. Because, like, once I got to it, I was just like, something's going to happen. What's going to happen?
Like, I can't put this book down. I can't go to sleep and not know.
I can't go to sleep. Like, I can't not know.
And then you're still just like, I can't go to sleep because I don't know.
I know, because I don't know and I have questions. And I'm like, in like a catatonic, like, I don't know what to do. Because I
do with my hands.
Right? I was like, my husband's like, maybe you should read another book on your Kindle. And I was like, I don't want to read another book. Like,
maybe you go back to chapter 42.
Maybe you go back to chapter, or any of the chapters, to be honest.
Any chapter. You're like, well, we got some time and the kids are asleep.
Right? Like I said, my husband benefited from this book.
As did mine. Mm-hmm.
But Like, I definitely didn't see Riley dying and the princess having to give their powers to get her back. Like, I didn't see that coming at all.
No, didn't see that coming.
But talk about like a testament of love.
Coming.
Yep. Same.
Love this book so much.
Me too.
So other things that made my eyes roll here, besides rolling the back of your head. Hey. My mind is just in the gutter this entire book. Like I can't even. It's just gonna happen.
It was my happy place.
Yeah. But this dude is creepy King Baydell. Anytime he was in the scene, I was just like, ugh, gross. Ugh. But he's like a perfect villain because of that feeling.
Yes.
It's so easy to hate him. He serves such a critical role in the plot, but he definitely has like a tons of secrets and that we haven't figured them out. And we hate him, but we love to hate him. So, especially even when he tries to take advantage of Riley after the choosing, like that plays an important role in the plot, showing that she can stand up for herself. And anytime men try and take advantage of a woman, like we get pissed. Where there's like,
yes,
don't you dare. Hands off. You may not grab me by the pussy. No, you may not. And then also, like, I just did not love how cryptic the goddesses were at the end. Like, dude, give her a break. Just give her a clue. Give somebody a clue. Other than, I didn't do this, but someone did. Oh. We
also,
know
Jax is dead.
Also, you're dead. Yeah, like, what? Like, and his mom, Jax's mom is the only one that's, like, really pissed about everything that's happening, but not helping. And even Jax is like, why are you doing this? Like, and he's like standing up against Mama. He's like, I haven't seen you in a long time, but hi, and I'm pissed at you. And she's just like, can't help you.
Sorry.
You're like,
I'm like, then say nothing. If you have nothing helpful to say, keep your mouth closed, because you just made me mad.
Mm-hmm. It's too cryptic.
It's too cryptic. Well, and it's too cryptic right now without feeling like there's a point to it. Like, maybe we'll understand, like, the crypticness nature of it in the second book. But right now, I feel like I couldn't pull out enough threads besides, like, her condition and, like, delicate balance. Like, there's not enough for me to even go, like, oh, this is where there may be breadcrumbing.
Yeah. And how did her sister know that she was going to be in the Ruby Air at some point? Like, she very purposefully drew the picture of the cat that, like, her sister would know this breadcrumb. And it's like,
right?
That kind of also made my eye roll. I was just like, really, Aaron? Like, you're giving us these clues that you're alive, but, like, you're not showing it. And it's just like, you're a shitty big sister.
Are you?
Yeah, like, you suck.
You suck.
Like, I kind of hope you're like, somebody takes care of you because you suck.
Also, why would you attack your own sister after she almost died?
Yeah, like, did you really not see, like, oh, that's my sister, I love you, oh, I'm trying to kill you? It's not like her sister's
also, forgive
wearing a mask. Forgive me. Bitch, no.
Bitch, right? No.
I'm not going to forgive you.
So I guess we hate Erin right now, too.
We kind of hate Erin, too, yeah.
Maybe she'll get a redemption arc in book 2, but right now we hate her. Okay. So in terms of what's next, if you enjoyed this book, we would highly recommend every other book Jade Presley writes, because if you love wide shoes, that is her trope of choice. So that's going to be the Shattered Isle series, which is 4 books and 1 novella. And then there's also the other book that we talked about. Plus, you're probably likely dying to read the second book in the Neverless series that we know Jade is currently writing. And we can't wait for that book to come out. So whenever it does, we'll all be eager. And now we are on a mission to find more Wide Shoes romantasy books, as well as more Five Pepper books to share with all of you very soon. Because the bar has been raised. Any
suggestions? If you have any suggestions of like something similar, let us know. We want to know. I want to read it.
Same.
Yes. And then join us next week when we drop 2 episodes where we dive into the 3rd book in the Thrall series, Queen by K.A. Riley, and discuss the contemporary romance Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez.
Thanks for listening to Late Night Reads. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at Late Night Reads Podcast, and check out latenightreads.com for even more information about all the books we're reading. If you loved today's episode, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast. and share the show with your fellow book lovers.